Yankee Stadium in New York, where the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees tangle in the second game of the three-game series. Light breeze blowing from left to right, temperature in the high 70s. A lovely day for baseball. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. Welcome to Yankee Stadium, and for the umpteenth time, it would appear, we come on the air talking about the fact it looks like the Yankees are dead.
Isn't that the truth? In Anaheim, we saw the Friday night game, they blew, and then Saturday a blowout. We said, well, that's it, it's over. We go to Boston. Boston takes charge. We say, well, it's over. And it looks like it's over after yesterday's game, but who knows?
Well, we do know that hope burns eternal, but we also know that the Yankees are getting closer to the coroner's office because time is running out. They've lost 4 straight to the Red Sox, who have beaten them 8 out of 11, and suddenly the magic number for the Yankees is 5. For Milwaukee and Detroit, it's 4.
And all you have to do is visit both benches, and you know where they stand in the standings.
It was a sloppy game last night, but what was important, the Red Sox beat the Yankees 10-9, and so that's the atmosphere. A superbly confident Red Sox team against a Yankee team that in its heart and soul must know it is really hurting, if not terminal. Wade Boggs will start it off. If you plan to keep score, we'll give you the names very slowly so you can write them down. Wade Boggs has a sore instep on his right foot, so he is the designated hitter today. And as usual, he takes a pitch for a strike. Boggs leading off in over 80 games and has reached more than 50% of the time. So he's also an ideal leadoff man.
And on the Boggs watch, at 689 plate appearances, he swung at the first pitch only 42 times.
Ball 2, 2-1.
Unbelievable. He just takes it all the time.
You wonder if the pitchers in the American League are able to capitalize on that at all by throwing it right down the pipe.
Except that when you think that he might be taking it in the late innings, he's jump on it and tear out a row of seats for you. So it works for him, obviously.
Leading the league at 363, being pursued by Kirby Puckett. All 3. Puckett, by the way, is 9 points behind Boggs, and it's interesting. Kirby is having such a tremendous year. He might wind up with the highest batting average in the American League for a right-hand batter since Joe DiMaggio in 1939, and that might be overlooked. Remember now, right-hand batter. Puckett is hitting .354 going into this day. 3-2, the count to Wade Boggs, and he's aboard on a low curve. Hear the way the Red Sox stack up now as Boggs opens up with a walk. Marty Barrett will be at second base, and it'll be Dwight Evans in right field, Mike Greenwell in left, Todd Benzinger at first, Ellis Burks in center field, Jody Reed batting 7th at short, Rich Gedman the catcher, and Ed Romero will be at third base.
Boggs fouled a ball off his instep of the right foot Tuesday. He can run straight, but it pains him to turn. He's on at first base, not really a base-stealing threat.
Marty Barrett lifts one foul off third, heading for the grandstand and out of play. Right-hander Richard Dotson on the mound, and Dotson has been Jekyll and Hyde. He started the year 5 wins and no losses. Since then, he is 6-9, so he comes in with that record 11-9. He has a respectable record at home. He is 6-3 here at Yankee Stadium. He's been plagued by the home run ball. He's given up 26 home runs. Although he has beaten the Red Sox, it was not exactly an artistic victory. He got credit for a 12-6 win, even though he was unable to hold on to a 7-0 lead. So Richard Dotson working on Marty Barrett, and the count, no balls and 1 strike.
You know, that's one thing you can say about this Yankee ball club, Vin. They score runs. They just can't hold leads.
In fact, in Dotson's victories, they've scored almost 8 runs a game for him. Line drive into center field for a base hit. Boggs to second, holding there. So Richard Dotson, who once upon a time was considered one of the outstanding pitchers in the American League, and he has really fallen upon lean times. You know, when you talk about Dotson was superb in 1983. He was 22-7 that year. In 1984, he was on the All-Star team. And he was traded from a non-contender, the Chicago White Sox, to the Yankees, and he's been a big disappointment. So he's in the soup now, first and second, nobody out. And Dwight Evans coming up with a little 6-game hitting streak.
Dwight Evans, a thorough professional, was giving Rack Slider, the third base coach, a long look in case he wanted to flash a sign. But there's no play on here. I guarantee you, just knock those runs in.
Little nubber back to the box. Dotson has to go to first base, and the runners move up 90 feet as Boggs advances to third and Barrett to second. So 1 out, runners at second and third, and the batter will be Mike Greenwell with a little 4-game hitting streak.
And a heavy heart to the extent, Vin, he was home visiting his dad. His dad had a heart attack. Leonard Greenwell is in a hospital, and Mike said he's going to turn around and go right back, and his father told his brother, you tell Mike to stay there and get some base hits. And we know at Fort Myers he's watching the game, and as they intentionally walk him, we certainly wish him speedy recovery, because this youngster, I tell you, has had a tremendous year and very close to his dad, but he's thinking about him today, and we want him to know that.
So in a moment, the bases will be loaded with 1 out, and Todd Benzinger will be coming up. So Mike Greenwell getting the intentional walk. Benzinger waiting his turn on deck. The Red Sox have beaten the Yankees 4 straight, 8 out of 11. Joe Morgan has seen his team play 20 games above 500 since he picked up the reins. The Sox are 44-24 under Joe's direction. They have a 5-game lead, and they are 21 games over 500 for the year. So it's been a big story for the Boston Red Sox.
Vin, Dotson's, obviously, as we look at Piniella, is in a big jam because so early in the ball game he really has not thrown that many pitches. He, to this point, guarantee you doesn't know what his best pitch is. And if I'm Benzinger, I'm looking for a fastball to try to jump on it, because he'll want to get ahead of you. And he has not thrown curveballs. He's not been able to change up. He's barely gotten to the mound.
Benzinger is a switch hitter, and he has much better numbers as a left-handed batter. He's hitting .275 from this side of the plate. Big off-speed pitch for a strike. 0-1 to Todd Benzinger.
And that was a good pitch for Dotson, because you got to believe that Benzinger was looking for the heater to get ahead, and Dotson was able to show he's still a pretty good pitcher with that pitch.
Benzinger very good in the clutch. He's hitting over 400 with the bases loaded this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Dotson had really slowed up. Benzinger looking at a slow hook, and now a straight change in the count 1-1 with Greenwell, Barrett, and Boggs out on the line. Just the start of the ball game. The Red Sox really trying to put the Yankees away early. Ground ball to the right side, off the glove of Willie Randolph. He's going to get the out at first, and everybody moves up as Boggs brings in the run, and the Red Sox lead 1-0.
As Willie was thinking, get the man at second base. You see, he was ready to turn, but now he knows he's lost that play. I doubt if he'd have gotten the double play, but he was able to recover and at least get the man at first.
So Benzinger picks up the RBI, and now with first base open, Ellis Burks the batter. Burks has hit in 8 out of 11. 1-0 Boston here in the first inning. 2 out. Fastball. 0-1. The Red Sox looking more and more now like the winners in the American League East. There is one jarring note for them, however. 1 ball, 1 strike. The division leaders, the other 3, are excellent on the road. The Mets are 7 games above 500 on the road. Oakland 18 games above 500 on the road. The Dodgers 19 games above 500 on the road. And the Sox are 7 games under 500 on the road. That's one reason why they went to Oakland and couldn't win a game. They were 0-6 in Oakland this year. 1-1 to Ellis Burks. Ball 2. 2-1 to Ellisburg. Jody Reed on deck. It's 1-0 Boston, and the chairs are barely warm here as Reed pumps the wood and waits. Two and two. Red Sox winning a scramble last night. So the Yankees take a lead. The Sox take a 5-3 lead. The Yankees come back and take a 9-5 lead, and the Sox never quit and wound up winning it with 3 in the 9th inning, 10-9. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fastball got him. So the Sox get 1 run, 1 hit, and lead 2. And at the end of half an inning, 1-0 Boston. The Yankees find themselves down 1-0 before they go to the wood. It'll be Ricky Henderson in left field and Claudell Washington in center. Don Mattingly at first base and Dave Winfield in right. The designated hitter Jack Clark. Mike Pagliarulo at third. Willie Randolph at second. The catcher is Don Slaught and the shortstop is Rafael Santana. And trying to stop that lineup is Mike Boddicker with a record of 12-15. But since he came to the Red Sox, he is 6-3. 9 of his last 11 starts have been quality starts. So he has been a definite plus for Boston.
You stop to think that Oil Can Boyd had to go out with the injury. What a job Boddicker has done.
In fact, you look at the 2 starters today. The Red Sox acquiring Boddicker, the Yankees getting Dotson. And it has been Boddicker who has done the job and Dotson who has struggled.
Terry Kennedy, who caught Boddicker over at Baltimore, talks about that Boddicker can adjust better than any pitcher he's seen. If he doesn't have a pitch to get a hitter out, he'll invent one. Whatever that means.
Tough to call. Strike 1 and 2. You put down a question mark.
That's right. You cross your fingers and say throw it. He changes speeds well, and he's around that plate.
Boddicker in his career here at Yankee Stadium is 3-5. He beat Rick Rhoden here when he was pitching for Baltimore. Check swing and a slow roller to shortstop. In a hurry is Jody Reed, and Henderson in there with his landing gear down.
That's a big, big play. Joe Morgan's going to come out and argue the play. I tell you, Henderson, when he does things like that, he's telling everybody in the ballpark, especially the people on the bench, hey, this thing is not over. He takes a pretty good swing, then stops it right at the, as he got across the plate, like the ball broke at the last minute. But here's the thing that really makes it. And I'm telling you, he was out.
Though Henderson is given credit for the squibber to first. It goes as a base hit. The thing that probably helped Henderson, and you saw it, is that check swing. It is very hard for an infielder to react on a check swing, and Reed had to pause for that split second, and it paid off for Henderson at first base.
When he started back so far, it looked like the home run swing, and then he got to the plate like at the last minute the ball broke, and that's when he checks it, because you start with that big swing, and Reed really had to wait.
Sure. So Henderson now has hit in 8 straight. Ricky is also in a base stealing mode. He needs a couple as he stands at first base. Henderson with 86 stolen bases.
He takes a 3.5 step lead off first base, and he just accelerates right now.
Claudell Washington went 0 for 2 after entering last night's game as a pinch hitter. He has failed to hit in his last 12 at-bats. 0-1.
Bigger lead. That's the bigger lead. You watch him. Usually it's 3.5 off first, 4.5 off second base. He had a 4-step lead. If you're watching him as a catcher, you're marking that down.
No balls and 1 strike to Claudell.
Half.
And they pitch out. When you think about stolen base, you think of Henderson, of course. But this year, you also think of Claudell Washington and that electrifying steal of home he pulled off against Roger Clemens at Fenway. Henderson is going back to the bag almost casually, as if he can read Boddicker that well.
He's taking a pretty good sized lead and just going back in, standing up, and that usually tells you can take another step.
There he goes, fouled away. So they play hit and run, and the count 1-2.
And Washington had the right idea because covering was the shortstop Reed. The big hole there. He was going to go that way.
So Henderson will go back to first. Rickey set a new all-time Yankee record for career stolen bases. And with 86, that's the second highest single season total in Yankee history. His own record, 1986, he stole 87. And he also had 80 steals in 1985.
You have a game like you had last night. Somebody's got to make something happen, and Henderson is the perfect guy to manufacture the run.
Red Sox leading 1-0. And he has to dive back, so that is as far as he can go.
He was leaning ready to go. Now, again, you can almost count his steps. He'll tell you it's public knowledge. It's usually 3.5, but you can see him lean right there. He's got ideas of going. Reed, now take another step. 4. It's a big lead. He's got him. Whoa! That's the biggest lead that he's had. Here comes Joe Morgan again. He's having trouble. Watch him.
That really was a case of too big a lead. He's lucky he got back.
Yes, he did. Let's see where he tags it. Tagged him high. From that angle, I'd call him safe.
Yeah, his hand was on. The tag was at the armpit.
Armpit high.
Joe Morgan tried to call it from the dugout and really was not in position. Where Joe certainly had grounds to argue when Henderson did the belly whopper to beat it. He really didn't have that much on that pickoff play.
And he said something to Henderson. I wonder what he said to Rickey, because Rickey was talking to him about it.
1-2 the count to Claudell Washington. It's 1-0 Boston in a rather busy first inning. And Henderson trying to shake up the Sox. He's still after him.
I think what he did on that lead, at least, Vin, getting the big lead, and at the first move, going back to first base. It's really a one-way lead, but he is determined to steal the base.
1-2 the count to Claudell Washington, bottom of the first inning. Henderson trying to steal number 87. Off speed. That would have been a dandy to be going on.
But he caught Henderson between hitches, much like you do a batter. Henderson was not ready. He was not tense enough to really take off. It wasn't a quick pitch, but it was right at the borderline.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Now he's ready. That's a pretty good battle going on there. It really is. If nothing else, Henderson has at least taken some of the concentration away from Boddicker in regards to Washington.
It's also a little tough on Washington because throws to first, that one time they put a play on, it eats away at the hitter's concentration, although it hasn't affected Claudell with a .318 average. But it's like a bulldog pulling on your shirt. Fouled away.
I just wonder if Henderson, that last dive, didn't hurt himself a little bit, though. He's got his head down right now, and he didn't take that big aggressive lead that he did. But then again, from past experience, you just don't believe anything you see at first base, because he may look like he's ready for the intensive care unit, and he'll steal 2 bases on you. There he goes.
There he goes. Check swing. Another check down to Reed, who juggled, throws, got him anyway. And now Piniella will argue.
I think Joe Morgan's 2 visits out there paid off, because that's what Piniella is saying. He comes out to argue, now you change.
Boy, what a first inning for Rocky Rowe, the first base umpire. Another check swing and a juggle by Reed, but they still nip Washington.
You can see they start that big swing, and that ball moves just enough for them to stop, and The check swing makes it tough, and Reed was breaking to cover second base with Henderson going, makes the throw. I couldn't tell on that angle.
I tell you what caused the trouble too. Washington couldn't react. We were talking about how the shortstop doesn't react on a check swing. If you go back to the start of that tape, you'll see the ball is well away from home plate, and Claudell Washington is still standing in the batter's box because he was all wound up.
Well, it was inside. He tried to swing and he kind of turned, and he just couldn't break. If he's able to break right now, he beats it out.
So here is Mattingly trying to pick up the tying run. He went 3 for 4 last night, including his 15th home run of the year. He hit it against Bruce Hurst. For Mattingly, it was his first home run since the 3rd of September. Ball 1.
So he's opened up his stance a little bit too. That right foot is pulled back a little bit more than we saw in Boston last week.
Mattingly at 308. Two of the league's premier hitters on display here today. Wade Boggs, who is the designated hitter today, and Don Mattingly, the first baseman. Mattingly's run production from home runs has fallen off considerably from last year, but there's one big reason. Last year he hit 4 grand slams. Check swing. Boy, you talk about bad checks. So Mattingly holds up. That means Boddicker is really fooling the Yankee hitters.
That ball is moving more than they expect, because the good hitter, you don't see it very often, and Mattingly's certainly a good hitter. That ball is just moving a lot more than they expect.
So we've had 3 check swings in the first inning, and a runner at third with 2 out, and Dave Winfield the batter. By the way, in talking about Mattingly's run production, we said he had 4 slams, make it 6 last year. Here's Winfield, and he has really been the out man for Boston pitching of late. He has just 3 hits and 22 RBIs, and he couldn't buy a key base hit last night. In fact, had Winfield done anything offensively, the Yankees might very well have won last evening. The big slow curveball for a strike. 7 runners left on. He came up at one spot with a double play with the bases loaded. Now he has a runner at third, the tying run with 2 out. 1-0 Red Sox, first inning. Kind of a roundhouse breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Sidearm him as Henderson has worked his way over to third base.
Winfield not only 0 for 5 last night, he's 0 for 10 in his last 2 games. One ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. You might remember that he was excused from the game of the 20th to be with his ailing mother. So Dave Winfield, big man, asked to carry a big load. He has 106 RBIs, 25 home runs. Henderson at third, 2 out, 2 balls, 1 strike. Ball 3.
Well, you know, with Claudell Washington stealing home against Clemens, you can see that both Boddicker and Gedman really giving Henderson a pretty good look at third base, because you just can't take anything for granted.
3-1 to Winfield. On deck is the designated hitter, Jack Clark. So the slow breaking ball puts him aboard. And Boddicker now goes head-to-head with Jack Clark. Clark 1 for 5 last night. He got a bouncing single up the middle with the bases loaded to drive in 2. He's been hitting the ball pretty hard of late. In fact, in his last 4 games, he has 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and hitting .500, so he's pretty hot.
On the strength of the way he pitched Winfield, you would think that Boddicker will try to get Clark out with something besides the fastball.
First and third, 2 out in the first inning. Big slow breaking ball. 0-1. Winfield doesn't do a lot of running, but he's stolen 8 out of 12. And of course the big man is Henderson at third. 2 down, first inning, 1-0 Boston. Another slow curveball for a strike. Clark might have to put an ad in the paper to get a fastball in this spot. 0-2.
He might get it, but if it's in the strike zone, it'll definitely be a mistake.
And another slow curve hit right into the Red Sox dugout.
Not only was it a slow curve, he came from the side. I mean, and what that does is hopefully you'll have the hitter give some ground and then hit that outside corner where the target was. But he got that ball in the strike zone. If you're going to miss, you better miss away from the plate. Get inside. You might be in trouble.
No balls and 2 strikes. Fastball, just a showcase pitch. 1-2. A moment ago, you had a fleeting glimpse of a young man in the Sox dugout fielding that foul ball. That's a glimpse of the future. That's Carlos Quintana. And they feel he's ready to play next year.
Boy, Morgan used him in a spot last week in Boston. Bases loaded. He drew a base on balls. First time at bat in the big leagues.
1-2 to Clark. Off speed and hit foul off his foot. Right down on Jack's left foot. So it's still 1 ball, 2 strikes. If you joined us late in the first inning, Dotson got in trouble on a walk to Boggs and a single by Barrett. With the bases loaded, Benzinger grounded out to pick up the RBI. And here in the bottom of the first, Henderson, a check swing single, a couple of ground balls moved him to third. Winfield walk. And here's Clark trying to at least get the Yankees even. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Off speed, pop foul to the left of the plate. Gedman coming back will not have a play. Still 1-2.
You know, you might notice a lot of times Gedman patting the right side of his leg. A lot of times what that is an indicator as to which signal they're using. Meaning by that, if I pat my leg, it could be the second flash I give. If I don't, it's the first flash, that kind of thing. He has been doing it just intermittently.
1-2 the count to Jack Clark. Fastball got him looking.
Talk about setting somebody up, huh?
Whew. After all the slow curves, he drilled him with the express. In the second inning, with the Red Sox leading the Yankees 1-0, it'll be Jody Reed, Rich Gedman, and then Ed Romero.
Watching Don Slaught make that throw to second base between innings, Vin, he really threw that ball hard and came out of his crouch like somebody was running, because last night, with men at first and third, Piniella made a move where he brought in Skinner from the bullpen. And what a tough spot for Skinner, and I don't think that's #1 on your popularity parade as far as Slaught is concerned.
Very tough maneuver. One you'd
tough.
Rarely see to switch a catcher in that kind of a spot.
I never had it happen to me, and I can't think of anybody it happened to.
And if it never happened to you, it didn't happen to anybody.
What do you mean by that?
1 ball and no strikes. It was just such a setup. You know, you put that thing on a tee, I'm going to hit it. 1-0 to Ellis Reed.
What a nice
guy.
It's true. It's true.
Jody Reed had only 70 at-bats by the end of June. And he has now become a mainstay for the Sox at shortstop. 1-1 to Jody.
Roger Angel, just a great writer, has a great description of Jody Reed. He's got such a young face. He said, but with that mustache, he looks like a kid going out on Halloween.
2-1 to Jody. Well, he's no kid with that bat. Since the All-Star break, he's hit over 340. Whenever the Red Sox come to Yankee Stadium, particularly, it really turns the memory book loose on ball 4 to Jody Reed. The Dotson has already walked 3 men. But you know, since the Babe Ruth trade, Boston to New York, and of course it's appropriate, we're in the house that Ruth built. This could very well be, if the Red Sox win the division, it'll be the first time that they've won 2 years so close together. Remember, they won in '86. There's the Bambino. So winning in '86, and they're trying to win in '88. That's hit down the left field line, slicing as she goes foul and out of play. The point we want to make: the Sox, since the Babe Ruth trade, won 4 times. 1946, 67, 75, and 86. Since the trade, after the 1919 season, the Yankees won 22 World Series and the Red Sox none. And just to rub salt in the wounds, who do you think holds the home run record for home runs by a visiting player at Fenway Park in 1 year? Babe Ruth with 8. Who holds the all-time record for visiting home runs at Fenway Park? Babe Ruth with 42. So it's pretty hard to see the Red Sox come to Yankee Stadium without thinking about the Babe. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We saw Gedman really take a long look at Rack's slider, and he's a double play man. And you just wonder they wouldn't put the ball in play with Reed at first.
Ball 2, 2-1. One thing about Gedman's presence, Mike Boddicker has a very good record when Gedman is behind the plate. Boddicker's record with Gedman, 6 wins and 1 loss. And there goes the runner. Hit and run chopper to the right side. Randolph lost a play at second, gets the out at first. So to avoid the double play, they turn Reed loose. And it's a simple 4-3 play. Gedman, by the way, had grounded into 6 double plays this year.
Number 11.
Get the ball. They count to 2 balls and 1 strike, and you really got the opposition in a box, and you can start your man.
It might come as a surprise to you. The fellow who was grounded into the most double plays for the Boston Red Sox is one of the greatest hitters the game has ever known, Wade Boggs. He's hit into 22 double plays. Great save by Don Schlaught. Ball 1, 1-0. Of course, you have to be a really good hitter to ground into double plays. The people who do it are the Boggs, the Rices, as you look at Wade.
Hit the ball hard, sure.
And who holds the record for grounding into double plays? Henry Aaron.
And what would you do? Would you bench any of those guys because they hit into double plays?
I couldn't afford them.
That's right.
1 ball and no strikes. 1-1 to Romero. Romero getting a chance to play third since Boggs has the sore instep. Richard Dodson extricated himself from serious trouble in the first inning, but gave up a run, and the Sox lead 1-0 here in the second. 1 away. Two balls, 1 strike. Fastball hit down to shortstop. The play by Santana is just a flip toss as Reed takes third. Santana with bone chips in his right elbow. It's still up for grabs as to whether he will have surgery in the offseason or not. But every play is painful for him.
And speaking about having surgery, how about the edict that came down on Candelaria? You either have surgery or pitch.
And then Candelaria saying that's great. They're going to force me, having had knee problems, to pitch. And Al Leiter has missed 3/4 of the year because of a blister. And what else is new here?
But he says there's no reflection on Leiter.
Oh, no.
None at all.
Just happened to come to mind.
It's just like one happy family, like in the old days, Hawkins Falls.
I was thinking as we see John sitting quietly in the corner of the bullpen. You know, the ideal setup for this year, they should have made a trade just for this year at least, to have George Steinbrenner run the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, you want to talk about oil and fire. You see where Lloyd Mosby was taken out of a
Jimmy
game.
Williams,
Yeah, they have some situation in Toronto. 1-1 to count to Boggs, who walked and scored a run in the first inning.
Well,
he has a little 4-game streak.
It's a real love nest up there, isn't it?
1-1. In there.
You can see how the defense is playing, Boggs, as if he were a right-handed batter. Santana really protects the hole between short and third. He's got a lot of room up the middle because Boggs' area is from center field to the left field line. You get that ball inside, he'll turn it on you.
And the first couple of pitches were sinkers, and you know Boggs would go the other way with that kind of a pitch. He pulls a little chopper, and leaving the bag is Mattingly, and he just got back to handle a throw from Randolph. So the Sox leave Reed at third. It's still 1-0 Boston.
Boddicker had 6 called strikes, 1 swinging strike, 4 fouls. He made 23 pitches, 6 called strikes, 4 fouls, 3 put in play, 1 swinging strike, and 9 balls. That shows command, which is in direct contrast to Dodson, Ben.
The pitch for ball 1 to Mike Pagliarulo. Yeah, it's amazing. At least the aura that the pitchers give off. Boddicker of a winner, and Dodson as if he really doesn't want to pitch. And I'm sure that's not true, but we're just talking about the feeling you get looking at them.
It's almost like an umpire making a decision. He has to sell the call. A pitcher has to sell his feeling out there, like, hey, it's my mound, my game.
2-1 to count to Pagliarulo. Interesting decision by Lou Piniella in the big series in Boston when Bruce Hurst pitched. Pagliarulo did not play. And then last night, Lou opted to play Pagliarulo, and he hit a home run against Hurst. Fouled away. 2-2. Called it a hunch, whatever. Maybe he just liked the way he was swinging the bat in batting practice. But Pagliarulo was in there. He'll be followed by Willie Randolph and then Don Slaught. It's really been a bad year for Pags, hitting only .218. It's 1-0 Boston. We're in the bottom of the second. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Slow curveball. Got him looking. Boy, you talk about a rainbow and a pot of gold at the end of it. Not that Pagliarulo thinks so.
They've been getting Pagliarulo with the breaking ball low and inside. He just changes speeds on this one. He throws what he calls a Fosh ball. And it's that big rainbow thing right there. And I tell you, that's what it is, keeping the hitter's timing off. And Boddicker certainly has been able to do that. Pagliarulo doesn't believe it.
And he comes right back with 1 to Randolph for a strike.
And
1-1.
Did you see him duck it like it was going to hit him? That's how big it was. You can see Randolph flinch, and it's not a hard biting curveball. It's really a roundhouse.
And another one. Well, he's really on target now. He's thrown 3 in a row, all for strikes. He has struck out 2 in a row. 0-2 the count to Willie Randolph.
I'll tell you, with that control, he'd break the man at the carnival.
And he gives you a wrinkle away just for good measure.
Remember what he did to Clark. Came back with the fastball on that outside part of the plate.
Mike Boddicker. He began his career with the Sox by pitching a shutout against Milwaukee, just to keep him out of there with that up and in fastball. 2-2. Boddicker, the 31st of July is when he began his career with Boston, shutting out Milwaukee 5-0. There's the fastball. Randolph late fouled it away. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Willie. Randolph has had a tough year physically. Be on the DL a couple of times. And it hit him. Big curveball hit him just above the numbers. So Randolph plunked by the pitch with 1 out, and Don Slaught will be the batter for Boddicker. He has hit 14 batters.
That's the curveball he wanted to start at the batter like he did the first strike, and it just didn't break, and you can see how upset he was.
It's interesting that a fellow who throws so many big jugs, big slow curveballs would have the most hit batters in the major leagues.
Well, because it's so slow. If you're going to get hit, you're not going to get hit.
Good pitch to take.
That's right. You don't want Nolan Ryan to take a shot at you and take about 20 calories out.
Blyleven has hit 13, and Boddicker now 14. And here's Don Slaught. 1 ball and no strikes to Don.
You want to hang in there as long as you can with the curveball, and sometimes, like on that particular case, it doesn't break, so you get plunked. Really doesn't hurt you.
He's a good man to take one for the club. And Randolph goes. The pitch behind Slaught, dropped by Gedman. He never had a play.
I don't think he would have gotten him because he picked the perfect pitch to go. It was a straight steal. And Slaught was either going to have to throw it flat-footed if he came up with it, and if he was going to make the play, it would be on the release. Now, Randolph, not that big a jump, but you see, There he goes. Hit and run play. Look back. I thought it was a straight steal. Now look where it goes behind him, and look at the position. Gedman just can't get rid of it.
8 out of 12 for Willie Randolph. So the Yankees again with the tying run in scoring position. 2 balls and no strikes. The count to Don Slaught and Rafael Santana on deck. We're in the 2nd inning. They're not exactly hurrying. Sidearm fastball that got the outside corner. 2 balls, 1 strike. Slaught 1 for 4 last night. And he lifts one back a third. Romero with the shades down makes the play. Holding at second is Randolph, and that'll bring up Rafael Santana.
Boy, Boddinger's another one of those pitchers, Vin, that if you had the radar gun and use that as your yardstick, you'd never sign him to a contract. But what he does, he's around the plate, he's got control of his pitches, and he comes from different angles. That was a sidearm fastball. He's thrown a sidearm fastball, overhand fastball, sidearm curveball, overhand curveball, and change speeds on both of them. We're talking about 8 pitches. And basically, when you get right down to it, if you were scouting, it'd be fastball and curve, but you don't know from what angle or what speed.
Rafael Santana trying to pick up Randolph. 1-0 Boston, 2nd inning. Ball 1. Santana playing with the bone chips in the right elbow really hurts him when he throws the ball. Although Rafael says it's okay when he swings the bat. It doesn't bother him then. 1-0 the count.
I don't know why it reminded me. Remember Pudd'nhead Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Always had the bad feet. Pudd'nhead said, it only hurt when I touched the ground.
2 balls, no strikes.
Only hurts when I hit the ball.
Santana, the former Mets player at short. Like the other day when the Yankees were off, he spent some time at Shea Stadium visiting with his old buddies. And they were kidding him. They said, how about if we vote you a share? And he said, no, I'm a Yankee now. I guess he thought he was going to do it himself. The breaking ball, little pop fly. Back at first base, Todd Benzinger will put it away. So Randolph is left at second. It's 1-0 Boston. We'll be back after these messages. The 3 small signs obviously directed to George Steinbrenner. Sell the team, George, but look where the signs are. They're hung from the facade of the 3rd deck. George Steinbrenner's box is directly behind home plate, so he can't see them. Obviously, it's like the guy winking at the chorus girl from the balcony. They hang their little sign, but no one of importance is going to see it as far as making a deal for the club. Marty Barrett, Dwight Evans, and Mike Greenwell. Ball 1. Barrett singled in the 1st inning.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
If the guy winked at the chorus girl, would that be a blot on his escutcheon?
1 ball and no strike. Yeah, that once upon a time was the definition of optimism. The guy sitting in the last row of the balcony winking at a girl in the chorus line. And I just thought of it looking at those signs up there. Nowhere. Ball 2, 2-1. Yeah, you can be a long way away here. 2 balls and 1 strike to Marty Barrett. Center stage, Richard Dotson. 2-1 to count. The thing about Dotson, we were talking about how he seems so uninspired and not in command. It must be very difficult to play back of him. Henderson is tying his laces in left field. Mattingly was swinging his arms and trying to twist his upper torso. But Dotson takes so long and then throws a lot of balls. He's 3-2, and it's hard for the defense to support him a good deal.
Well, you start to take it for granted that he's going to miss the strike zone and you're not ready to make the play.
Look at Mattingly now, just coming up out of a crouch. They're doing anything at all to keep the blood going. That's a tough kind of a pitcher to have. Ground ball to Randolph. 1 away.
Pitching and defense work hand in hand, and it's a rhythm that both the defense and the pitcher get into. But if you're taking a lot of time, you're back on your heels. And what's happening a lot of times, he is shaking off Slot by just staring him down. They're really not together yet as to how they're going to work this game.
Show you what kind of a pattern he has, too. In 45 pitches, just about half of them, 22 have been balls. So he's kind of an anesthetic pitcher. He'll put you to sleep if you're playing back of him, unless you're careful.
Right now, you're ready for a play.
Breaking ball, strike to Evans.
So important to get ahead of the hitters for a lot of reasons.
1 out, third inning, 1-0 Boston. Oh, and 1. 1-1.
You know, we've talked about that Red Barrett game, but that must have been an easy game to play behind, where he just makes 58 pitches.
I'll tell you, kid, if I were good enough to play behind him, I'd love to play behind him because he works so quickly. Is Tom Browning of the Cincinnati Reds, who pitched the perfect game the other night against the Dodgers. Bob Gibson was
the guy. That's the guy I
ideal.
was going to bring up. Gibson, he got that ball from the catcher and threw it. Of course, if you had his stuff, what's the sense of fooling around?
But Dotson just seems to be hesitant. I'm sure he's not. It's just what he seems to give off as you sit there and watch him. 2-1 the count to Evans. He's a nibbler, and he's behind most of the time.
See, like right now, you're an infielder. You're back on your heels.
2 balls, 1 strike. Fouled away. Remember the old Jackie Gleason, Art Carney routines where Gleason would say to Carney, you know, write this down. And Carney would take his pen and pad and keep flourishing his hands. And finally, Gleason would say, will you write it down? Well, when you watch Dotson, all of a sudden you feel like saying, will you throw the ball? And maybe that undermines a hitter occasionally. 2-2. Ground ball, roll to third. Pagliarulo. 2 down.
There's an expression that scouts use when they scout pitchers about going deep. And that means 2-2, 3-2. 2-2 is going deep. And that's the pitch that you really have to get the hitter to make a decision on. I mean, get your decision, because you go 3-2, the momentum swings to the hitter. Well, Dotson has gone deep in the count to 9 of the first 12 batters.
Wow. Oh. By the way, Oakland leading Milwaukee 1-0 in the 4th inning. Remember, Milwaukee is on the edge. They'll be snuffed out with any combination of 4, as will Detroit. The Yankee number is 5. 1 ball, no strikes. Ball 2, 2-0. Over in the National League West, the number is reduced to 2. The Dodgers play this afternoon at Candlestick, and Cincinnati plays tonight in Atlanta. 2-0. And how about Oral Hershiser? Is that remarkable?
Unbelievable. And I mean, that's a strong string he's on. Watching him, you see him obviously every pitch, but
49 consecutive scoreless innings.
And strong.
Hit down the line, foul, and the count 2-2. The record, Don Drysdale, 58 straight. And suddenly Hershiser, who figured to pitch Wednesday night at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, Oral Wednesday night would go to tie. Then it's a question of would they work him maybe an inning or 2 before the playoffs begin, and he would have a chance to actually break it. That's a strike, and that's that for the inning. So Dotson, taking his time, retired the side in order, and it's still 1-0 Boston. Here's an easy way to determine the magic number. Subtract the Red Sox victories from 163. That would give you 76. Then subtract the losses, the teams chasing them, from that 76. So you see Milwaukee is 72. That's 4. Detroit 4. Yankees 5. That's the magic number.
Can I try geography? I never was good in arithmetic.
How about that one? Can you add that up?
The Yankees were lucky in 78, but there's no Bucky, meaning 10, of course, in 88.
Do you think that's either a foreigner or a guy who had a very snooty education? Look at the way he made the 7. That's a European 7.
Yeah, that's a courageous guy to do that in Yankee Stadium, too.
Bottom of the 3rd, 1-0 Red Sox. Strike. That's what they talk about in Beverly Hills. It's so expensive and high class. The graffiti's in French. 0-1. Henderson, Washington, Mattingly. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boy, what a magnificent day in New York. It doesn't get much better than this as we turn into the fall. Beautiful blue sky. Temperature around 70 degrees or thereabouts. No humidity to speak of. Just a zephyr for a breeze. Just great. 1-1 in there.
It's a nice high sky, though. Nice for us that are watching it, but the ball players, they'd love to see a few clouds up there. Makes it tough to catch that real high fly ball or pop fly.
1-2 the count to Ricky Henderson. Remember, he had that check swing single in the first inning, so he's hit in 8 straight. Curveball hit to short. Jody Reed shoots him down. 1 away. With 1 away, Claudell Washington the batter, then Don Mattingly. Red Sox 1 run, 1 hit. Yankees no runs, 1 hit. Two balls, no strikes. Washington had a check swing, but got himself all tied up in the box doing it, and Reed, despite juggling the ground ball, was able to throw him out. On the outside corner. 2-1. Big chopper to the right side. Marty Barrett is on it. That takes care of Washington. We talked a moment ago and showed you the standings. We also showed you the magic number of how to determine it. Here are the games remaining. The Yankees have with the Red Sox here, and then they'll finish up on the road, Baltimore, and then next weekend in Detroit. The Tigers will finish at home hosting the Yankees. The Red Sox will finish up in Cleveland, and Milwaukee still has a ways to go. Oakland, California, and Oakland again. There's a line drive off the glove of Benzinger. Base hit.
You know, just a little thing there that you saw. You saw Mattingly stand right on the bag. That's a bit of the information he got from advanced scouting because Gedman was sneaking down the line. Now watch the ball go off the glove of Benzinger, and Benzinger is not near first base. A lot of times the fellow will take that big turn and the catcher sneaks behind him. But Mattingly, with that information, you saw him just stop at the bag, and Gedman was there all right.
Benzinger, who is a converted outfielder, is 6'1", and he really went up the ladder to even get the leather on the ball. With a nice pry, single for Mattingly, and a slumping Dave Winfield, who walked in the first inning. It's still 1-0 Red Sox, 2 out in the third inning. And Mattingly bluffs, and there's a strike. Mattingly putting on a good show as if he was going to take off. Mattingly this year has just 1 stolen base, so he certainly doesn't figure to run.
Don't want to take that bat out of this big guy's hands.
And that's hammered to center. That'll be a base hit in front of Ellis Burks. So the Yankees have runners at first and second, and Winfield wouldn't be human if he didn't stand there and think, oh, if I had done that last night when he stranded 7 batters.
You know, in a spot like this, Vinny, even just watching the game, I like to play along with the batter. If I'm Jack Clark now, I gotta look for that big, slow lollipop that he threw. Now, if it's anything besides that, I'm gonna have to take it. Now, that would be my thinking. Of course, if he looks for fastball and gets it, he's gonna hit out the ballpark. But I would be waiting until I had 2 strikes to see if he'll throw me that big lollipop.
Just to remind the viewers, after being set up with slow curveballs, a fastball caught him looking in the first inning. So 2 on, 2 out in the third. And he starts him with a slow breaking ball up. 1 ball and no strike.
I'd still look for the curveball here.
That has been Clark's problem. He has been looking. He hasn't swung the bat yet. 1-0. Another slow curve.
Now it's a dilemma. You got the pitcher, 2 balls, no strikes. He's got base runners at first and second. He can't afford to walk you. Is he going to go with his fastball, or are you going to look for it? I'm guessing. I'm looking curveball.
And Boddicker is mad at himself. He was storming back of the mound. He wanted that 1 ball, no strike curve and missed way outside. So Clark really has the upper hand for the moment. In there, 2-1. You know, his fastball is about medium. It certainly is not what you call a hummer by any means. Yet Boddicker struck out 10 this year against Kansas City.
Yeah, but if you're doing what Clark just did, look for the breaking ball, he'll get the fastball by you. And that's what he just did.
2-1. Off the rubber. Mattingly at second, Winfield at first, 2 out in the third. Red Sox with a first inning run, trying to make it stand up.
So you can say any way you want. Some hitters say, well, I anticipate a pitch. I look for a pitch. It boils down to their guessing.
2-1. Breaking ball. Soft swing. The roller to third, and they get the force play. So Clark still hasn't had a good rip at all. They leave 2, and now here's a look back at a very special Olympic moment.
You know, pitching coaches sit on the bench. They do a lot of things. They watch the mechanics, of course, but a lot of them chart pitches. Just to give you an idea, if we were charting pitches, Dotson has made in 3 innings 55 pitches. That projects to about 165. And of those 55 pitches, 29 strikes, 26 balls. That's not very good. And then you go down to the 3rd inning, which he had a 1-2-3 inning. He had a 3-2 count on Barrett, 2-2 on Evans, 2-2 on Greenwell, which means he went deep with every hitter. It's a good barometer.
Interestingly enough, however, despite laboring on the mound, Dotson has allowed only 1 hit and 1 run, which came on a ground ball by this hitter, Todd Benzinger. And it's popped in the air behind the plate. Don Slaught getting help from Pagliarulo, and let's see, Pagliarulo, and where was the pitcher? He was still on the mound, and the only thing Dotson has to do in this world at that moment is get over there and direct traffic. Bad play.
He could have bought a ticket because he was a spectator. Slaught would not have made that play. We talked about the high sky. It's a good thing Pags ran him off that play. And what the pitcher's got to do is get over there and start screaming. And if he sees there's going to be a collision, there's nothing wrong with grabbing the catcher. The one guy you don't want to have make the play is the catcher, because he's got that big pillow and it's easier for the infielder to do. But Dotson was just watching the play.
And I think Pagliarulo went by and took a little bite out of Dotson, because Dotson will never leave the mound. Never.
Now watch Slaught. Slaught thinks he's got it, but it's way behind him. He's lost it right there. He hasn't got it. And now he hears Pagliarulo. He would not have gotten that.
Fouled away. And then Pagliarulo, in returning the ball to the mound, went by and raised his voice. So he was a little hot.
A teammate of mine who was a low-key guy that you knew, the late Howard Paulette. He was very low-key, right? On a play like that, he'd be screaming in your ear, you know, and then, I hear you, you turkey, but he didn't want anything to happen. That's what the good pitcher does.
There's a bunt up along first base, fielded by Dotson, who nipped him. So Ellis Burks thrown out on the bunt attempt. 2 down in the 4th inning.
Dotson got off that mound in good shape, and Mattingly gave him a good target, and it was a good play.
I wonder, too, psychologically, if Burks took all that in and said, here's a pitcher who stayed on the mound on that foul ball, whose third baseman might have chipped at him going by. Maybe he'll be deep in thought. It would be a good idea to drag one on him.
I'm sure that it could have been a factor, but I tell you, he got over there in good shape, and Mattingly was right there, nice inside, and the infield side of the bag, gave him a good target, and Dotson, once he got the ball, didn't rush it.
Here's the last man to get aboard against Dotson, and that's Jody Reed, who walked in the 2nd inning. He's retired 8 in a row.
Tell you, if he gets a 1-2-3 inning here, that's going to be the big pump of whatever that the Yankee bench needs.
Hard breaking ball away, 1-1. Jody Reed picked up his first major league hit a year ago, and as we told you, didn't really play much for the Sox until after June 30th, and now he's a solid fixture. Ground ball to Santana, And he can't get much on the throw with the bad elbow, but he just does nip him anyway. 9 in a row retired by Dotson. It's still 1-0 Boston. A moment frozen in the memory bank. 5th game, 1975 World Series, Reds and Red Sox. Joe Morgan, a drive to right, and a big catch by Dwight Evans in right field. Dewey, who makes so many big plays, had that big home run last weekend up at Fenway Park, had a monstrous home run last night.
Boy, everybody remembers the catch, but you saw what he did right away. Got it back in the infield, ended up a double play. He wasn't satisfied with just making the catch.
Mike Pagliarulo, a shot foul outside of first, 0-1. Pagliarulo, Randolph, and Slaught. We're in the 4th inning. The Red Sox leading 1-0. Pagliarulo struck out in the 2nd inning on one of those big, slow curveballs. It's a kind of a curve that looks like it's a ball by the time the catcher catches it. You look back at the catcher's mitt and it's almost on the ground, but it's a question of where that pitch is coming into the strike zone.
To call that the American Legion roundhouse.
1-1. Roller up along first base, fielded there by Benzinger, and that takes care of Pagliarulo. 1 away.
Then you think time doesn't fly. The young bat boy for the Yankees picking up the bats. I played against his grandfather. You broadcast his grandfather's pitching. That's Clyde King's grandson, Jay. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
There he is.
Clyde, the pitching coach. Norma, his wife, is here. Must be a big thrill. Here's Willie Randolph, hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning. 4-1. Boy, you talk about a surveyor. That's what Boddicker did to Darrell Cousins. He made his pitch and just stared. He couldn't believe that fastball didn't catch a corner.
Umpires love that too.
I bet.
They always say, tell him to just get the ball and throw.
In direct contrast to last night's 10-9 game, it's 1-0 today in the 4th. Big slow curveball. Last night, a total of 25 hits. Today, thus far, a total of only 4 hits, and the losing team has 3 of them. One and 1 to Willie Randolph. Ball 2, 2-1. Mike Boddicker trying to win his 13th. Big chopper to shortstop. Jody Reed got a nice hop to handle. 2 down. The American League East has been the only division of the 4 where you had a change of leader since the last week in May. In other words, by the last week in May, the American League West, the National League East, and the National League West, all those leaders moved in to stay. But in the American League East, you remember the Red Sox didn't really take over first place till Labor Day. They tied Detroit on Labor Day, then broke the tie. On Labor Day, Milwaukee and the Yankees were tied for 3rd, 4 games back. 2 balls and no strikes to count. A Don Slaught fouled out in the 2nd, 0 for 1, hitting .272. Boddicker is having to work for his win today. That's in there. When he was with Baltimore, he had an average of 3 runs from the offense. With the Red Sox, he's getting 5. Boy, that's a whale of a difference. Fastball, line to right. Evans was thinking about throwing to first, but Benzinger was way off the bag.
We're talking about that before the game. I started to say that. Joe Morgan was talking about it because he says on artificial surface, although we're playing on grass here, he said that play can be made a lot. He just happened to say to me, he said, did you ever see that play? I said, yeah, I saw a no-hitter in Brooklyn. You probably broadcast that game. Mel Queen. Frillo got him at first base.
Right.
And that play can happen on the artificial surface. And even here, Evans was not satisfied. It just plate on one hop and lob it in. He took a look, and if Benzinger was there, I wouldn't have been surprised to see a throw.
It was a perfect combination, a hard line drive with 2 out and the catcher hitting. Don't look. Here's Rafael Santana.
That's discriminatory. It really is, man.
Well, I mean, it was the perfect setup, though.
No, it wasn't.
No?
What if you got a slow-running infielder?
Who's that? Santana popped up in the second inning, 0 for 1. Slow curveball hit down the left field line. Base hit. The ball is still in play, and we'll have runners at second and third.
He hit that about as hard as it was thrown. He just kind of served it. That's one of those you would see at Forest Hills during the Open. He did not really drill that ball, just put that bat on it. You could see his weight shift already, and the bat he served it out there just perfectly.
So the Yankees, with 2 out after Fagliarulo and Randolph made out, get a single from Slaughter and a double for Santana. The Yankees have been very wasteful. They've left 5 men in 3 innings, and now they have runners at second and third with 2 out in the 4th. They're in danger of making it 7 left on unless Henderson can do something. So Boddicker has been victimized on 2 of his pitches. He tried to come a little sidearm with a fastball to Slaughter, and he singled to right. And then he came over him with that big, slow curveball, and Santana doubled. So now let's see what Henderson gets.
Henderson has done everything but call time. He's just wandering around there, waiting for Boddicker to get ready. When Boddicker was ready, he backed out. A little game going on here.
Interestingly, Henderson led off the game with an infield single, one of the 5 Yankee hits. The other 4 have all come with 2 out. Slow breaking ball up. Ball 1. Does that tell you anything about a hitter, and about a pitcher especially, who allows hits with 2 outs?
Well, only that he may be letting up. I mean, you'd talk to him about it, and you'd ask him about it.
1-0. Slow breaking ball for a strike. 1-1. It's a pretty good pattern. In 4 innings, you've allowed 4 hits with 2 out.
It's worth asking about, saying, hey, you know, when you get 2 outs, I don't think you're bearing down. I mean, that's all you have to say. And with some pitchers, they'll agree. Others will argue.
1-1. And he missed ball 2. On deck, Claudell Washington, and Marty Barrett's going to go to the mound.
He called Gedman out. And he's got something on his mind very definite whenever you see an infielder call a catcher out. And that could be anything from, hey, signals I'm not getting them. He may be getting them over there. Or you're calling too many curveballs or whatever.
Well, Marty Barrett is acting like Joe Morgan for the moment. Marty calling the meeting, and he's doing a little bit of lecturing him with that hand over his mouth. That's no accident either.
No.
He's making sure that Gene Michael, the third base coach, could not read his lips.
He switched signs is what he did, because he just went over and told Reed that they've switched signs now. Whether Santana's flashing him, he must be giving a pretty good indication. And it's not telling him the pitch. He's really more the location. And it's an easy thing to give the location. You could do it any one of 1,000 ways. Let's watch Santana get a lead, and I'll make something up for you.
2 balls, 1 strike. It's 1-0 Red Sox, bottom of the 4th. 2 out. And a fake by Mike Boddicker.
Now, for example, you saw him look back to second base. That could be the ball is going to be inside. If I don't look back to second base, it'll be outside. I mean, that kind of thing. It's an easy thing to just give the sign, I mean, from second base. No big deal.
2-1. Breaking ball over. 2-2. I love the idea that Marty Barrett was so concerned about what he was saying that he would take his right index finger, press it to his upper lip, so there's no way anybody could read what he was saying. That was really a thoughtful defensive gesture against Gene Michael, the third base coach.
You don't trust anybody. I mean, you got to take a page right out of a James Bond movie, thinking that everybody's stealing everything and you're wired.
2-2. Sidearm roundhouse, and he missed with it.
A lot of hitters, you give them the location, and they really don't care about the pitch. And there are other guys, you give them the pitch, and they become 500 hitters.
Well, what do? 3-2. You have first base open. Another big slow curve.
I wouldn't give in to him. Whatever he thinks is his best pitch.
Fastball fouled away. So after all the curveballs, both overhand and sidearm, he came back 3-2 at the knees. Henderson might have been a little late on the fastball and fouled it off.
You know, it's an easy thing to say, best pitch, but you don't really know unless you're behind that plate because it's the best pitch at that particular time. That, obviously, for Boddicker was the best pitch because the way he'd set him up with the curveball.
3-2. Remember, he gave up a base hit on the fastball and the double on the curve. Fastball fouled away again.
He had a little better swing at that one than he did the first one.
Now I wonder, after coming in with 2 fastballs, you see he's got a better swing. Now do I come back off speed?
Yeah, but you see, that may be what Henderson's thinking about. I just started to say that because he fouled the pitch off that he wanted to hit, and now he's got to be thinking, well, I got to get a piece of it. But now Boddicker's got a bit of an edge because he can go to that curveball. He's got you thinking it. So if you're thinking it, Vin, you know that Henderson is.
3-2. Slaught at third, Santana at second, 1-0 Red Sox, bottom of the 4th inning.
Shook him off. So Boddicker is very definite as to what he wants to do, and that's all you can do is suggest it's up to the pitcher.
Boy, letting him hang. 3-2. Slow curveball, fouled away into the crowd behind the dugout. So this is some 3-2 battle. We've had 2 fastballs, and now he went back to the slow breaking ball.
And the big thing about it, he's been able to throw all the pitches for strikes with 3-2.
Mike Smithson will get up, the big right-hander, and begin to loosen up back of Boddicker. There's Mike. For Boddicker, his ratio of strikeouts to walks is 2-1. It's not overpowering. 3-2 to Ricky Henderson. Boddicker has walked a batter, hit a batter, and he has struck out 2. And a breaking ball hit the center, and Ellis Burks is there. And that's it. So Boddicker wins the battle. No runs, 2 hits, 7 men left on. We'll be back. We're going to the 5th inning at Yankee Stadium with the Red Sox leading the Yankees 1-0, and it's certainly a case of waste not, want not. The Yankees have wasted. In their 4 innings, they have left 7, and they are yet to score. The Sox got a run in the 1st inning, and Boddicker and company have made it stand up. However, Richard Dotson appears to have squared himself away after a very slow, raggedy start, and Dotson has retired the last 9 in a row. Interestingly, it took him 55 pitches to do the job in the first 3 innings. He got the side out on 7 pitches in the 4th. Rich Gedman. First ball swinging, popped up to Pagliarulo. 1 away. That's 10 in a row for Dotson. Ed Romero grounded to short in the 2nd inning. He's 0 for 1.
He's cut down on his pitches, Vin.
Dramatically.
4th inning, he only made 7 pitches.
1 ball and no strikes. There's a shot by Pagliarulo and down the line. Romero around the bag, on his way for 2, and Henderson gets it back in. So a double by Romero, and Wade Boggs will be asked to pick him up. Romero drilling it by the diving Pagliarulo.
He gave it a good effort. I thought he was going to come up with it.
He slapped at the ground. I think he thought he might have come up with it sometime. Henderson has some trouble.
So that's not an easy thing because that padding is about maybe 6-8 inches under there. That ball gets under there, you got some problems.
It'd be a bad idea, you would think, to fill that in.
Yeah.
Boggs walked and grounded out. 0 for 1. One away. Romero at second in the 5th inning. Red Sox leading 1-0. A remarkable accomplishment. The first player in this century.
How about that Canseco? 40-40.
40-40. Of course, I really, like many others, don't think that much of it. By that I mean, I really feel there have been several other players who could have done it, but not under the same circumstances. In other words, Willie Mays could have been a 40-40 man, but he didn't run that much.
Mantle could have done it.
Mantle could have done it. Aaron might very well have done it.
But you know what? If I'm Canseco, I'm saying, yeah, they could have.
How
but
come
I
they
did it.
You got it.
And I don't blame him. That's a tremendous, tremendous thing. 40-40. They used to think the guy had 40 home runs and he was just a big clod. He's some athlete.
2 balls, no strikes. The Wade Boggs with the count his way. Boggs has already walked 118 times and then added 1 in the 1st inning. So one more bad pitch, he'll have 120 walks this year. 3-0 to Wade. On deck, Marty Barrett. And there it is, 120 walks for Wade Boggs. Remember when you were a kid and they'd all holler, hey, a walk's as good as a hit? Maybe not quite, but there are runners at first and second with 1 out, and Marty Barrett coming up. Clyde King on the phone to the bullpen.
And Marty, in the series last week in Fenway Park and even here, has been pulling the ball, although his base hit was a center field. He went to the second baseman. He hit a hard foul down that left field line. You just can't give him that he usually does from center field to the right field line. Tell you this, I think he's a tough hitter.
He sure is. There's Steve Shields loosening up in the Yankee bullpen. Barrett with a career high 62 RBIs. So 2 on, 1 out, 1-0 Red Sox, top of the 5th inning. Fastball hit to shortstop. They're going to get 1 there and 2 there. No run, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 4 1/2, 1-0 Red Sox. Claudell Washington, Don Mattingly, and Dave Winfield. 1-0 Boston, 5th inning. The Yankees have not been retired in order, and they've left 7 men in 4 innings. That's right. Washington, a couple of ground balls to short and second. Oh, 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes. Perhaps it doesn't mean very much anywhere else in the United States, but here in New York, the folks are taking notice of an anniversary, certainly a painful anniversary for many. Little pop fly, and Boddicker will take care of it. That was painful for Claudell Washington.
That's one of those that you don't want to tape and show the kids.
The anniversary in 1957 on this date. The last game ever played at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn. It was a night game. The Dodger left-hander Danny McDevitt pitched a shutout and beat Pittsburgh 3-0. 20, 30, 31 years ago exactly today. Here's Don Mattingly, grounded out and singled off the glove of Benzinger. Mattingly 1 for 2. Mattingly, with all of his other attributes, does not strike out very much, about every 19 at-bats, although he is not the toughest. 1-1. The toughest in the major leagues would be Cincinnati shortstop Barry Larkin. He strikes out about every 23 at-bats. Scott Bradley of Seattle strikes out every 21 at-bats, and then you have Mattingly about every 19. A roller to first. Nice hop for Benzinger. 2 down. Then, of course, there are the fellows who seem to strike out when they're leaving the dugout. Pete Incaviglia, Andres Galarraga, and Juan Samuel. And Dave Winfield, the batter. Winfield walked and singled. He's 1 for 1. Winfield walked with a runner at second in the 3rd inning, and then singled with a runner aboard in the 3rd after a famine-like night last evening where he stranded 7. Big, slow curveball. Strike 1.
There are always stories around the Yankees. You just wonder if Winfield's contract is up. George has to sit down with him, and there's talk about Mattingly being traded. What do you think?
And how about Dallas Green? How about that story?
Yep.
I mean, here's a club in a pennant race with a week to go, and they contend with a big rumor that Dallas Green is going to replace Lou Piniella, who, by the way, you know, Piniella was given a 3-year contract. It doesn't start until 1989. However, as I understand it, it is not a legal baseball contract because it hasn't been filed yet with the league office. So to say that the Yankee situation is up in the air is the understatement of the year. 1 and 2. What else are they saying? That this will be the last year for Dave Righetti, certainly in relief. He has had a terrible time. Going to go back to starting.
Big shakeup. Big trades. I don't know.
1 and 2 to Winfield. Breaking ball missed. The day of decision for Winfield is October the 15th. Whether they will renew his contract, which calls for, if I understand it correctly, $2 million a year, so that's a $4 million decision, or a buyout of $2 million.
Jack Clark's another name they're talking about trading.
Off speed, rolled up the middle. Reed trying to come back and get it, but he can't. Winfield making a turn and holding on, and he's 2 for 2, but it's a 2-out single.
Tell you, if Burks doesn't charge that ball, Winfield's got himself a 2-base hit because he made a big turn, and that ball was hit nice and soft. Looked like a snake going through that grass.
Isn't it something, though? Here we go again with Boddicker.
Yep.
5 hits. All 5 hits coming with 2 out.
That one, though, was a pretty good pitch. He hit it off the end of the bat. Romero was playing deep at third, and Reed was protecting the hole between short and the 3rd baseman. And so there was a lot of room up the middle, and Winfield hit it right off the end of the bat. It just snuck its way through there.
Well, here's Jack Clark. Fool set up on curveballs and was caught looking at a fastball. Did not have a very good swing when he hit into a force play in the 3rd inning. So he hasn't had a good hack yet against Mike Boddicker. Winfield bluffs, and the pitch a strike. Winfield has stolen 8 out of 12. If nothing else, trying to distract Boddicker.
Boy, I'm surprised Clark took that pitch. You can see the indecision because after the last 2 times at bat, you'd think the first fastball he was going to fly open.
And he looks at a fastball, and he's in a hole now. 0 and 2.
That's just he's guessing, and he's guessing wrong.
He's the first one to admit that he is confused over the way the American League pitchers have been pitching him in his first year in the league.
He's just going to widen that zone a little bit now. Boddicker is.
0 and 2. In fact, that was kind of a half a pitch out. It wasn't a good pitch out, but at least he got it high. Joe Morgan, as he is wont to do, sitting quietly. He's seen it all.
I tell you, he's amazing. His pre-game press conferences are very polite.
1 and 2, and there goes Winfield. Fastball away, and the throw is behind him into center. Winfield is up and at him to 3rd.
You can see what happened to Gedman. He kind of got caught there because he really doesn't take a step and throw that ball. He threw that ball flat-footed, and there was no way he was going to throw it straight. Now watch when he throws. You watch Winfield. He gets off and running right now, straight steal. Watch Gedman now. I mean, he just threw a sailor. He kind of stepped to the side a little bit, but it was not where you step right into it and go into that throw.
So Gedman, only his 4th error of the year as he tried to throw sidearm and threw it behind Barrett. And the Yankees again have the tying run 90 feet away. Breaking ball is fouled away. Just got a piece of it. The Yankees left Henderson at 3rd in the 1st inning. They left Slaught at 3rd in the 4th. And now they have Winfield at 3rd in the 5th.
Certainly can't practice catching foul tips. No way you can do that. What you want to do is keep that glove pliable. And you saw Gedman work on it, hoping that the next foul tip will hit that webbing and stay.
2-2. And another curveball foul back. You know, I'm wondering, with all of the modern devices we have, you just said something, you certainly can't practice foul tips. I wonder if somebody isn't going to combine the automatic pitching machine with some kind of an automatic hitting machine that can be adjusted so that the arm could actually foul balls back. Somebody probably come up with it yet. And there's going to be a chopper to second. Tough play for Barrett. Got him.
Fastball to hit him right on the hands.
No runs, a hit. The Yankees have left 8 in 5 innings.
Then you take that last inning. Washington, a curveball off the hands that Bodiger made the catch. Mattingly grounds out to the first baseman, hit fairly hard. Winfield sneaks that ball through. Clark, a little half swing almost. I mean, and you're talking about your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place hitters. And I mean, it was like hitting it with a wet sporting news.
They are killing the Yankee chances here because they have left 8 men on in 5 innings. So Boddicker thoroughly frustrating the Yankee hitters. Now it'll be Evans, Greenwell, and Benzinger against Richard Dotson, who had retired 10 in a row, gave up a double and a walk, but got Merritt to hit into a double play in the 5th inning. 0-1. Evans hit back to the box, grounded to 3rd. Foul back. One ball, one strike. Big chopper to shortstop. Nice hop for Santana. He kind of shot puts it over to first. 1 away. Mike Greenwell having a remarkable year. Hits a hopper backhanded by Mattingly, who gets him with a dive.
A tremendous play by Mattingly because Greenwell not only hit that ball hard, he got out of the box in great shape. And Mattingly knew he had to make that play. Watch this. It's going to be close, and here he goes into it. And he gets there. Good hustling play by Mattingly.
It's a dangerous play, too, because the first baseman going head first to the bag, and Greenwell running for a base hit, liable to step on his head.
Or his hands.
Greenwell's a 195-pounder. So 2 down thanks to that brilliant play by Mattingly, and here is Benzinger. Tell you one thing, it would be extremely doubtful that Mattingly could have or would have made that play in the first 2 innings. Remember when Dotson was behind everybody and the infielders were squatting and the outfielders were shaking themselves? But Dotson has allowed just 1 hit since the first inning. He had that string of 10 in a row, and now his ball club is in the game. 1 ball, 1 strike to Todd Benzinger, who grounded out and fouled out. Little roller up along first, foul ball.
And yet you wonder, why would they have Shields warming up so soon in that other inning? I mean, because he's only given up, as you said, 2 hits the entire game.
Dotson this year, 27 starts and 4 complete games. But it gives you an idea, in this game, Pinella's still trying, and he can't afford to wait more than a questionable situation. Time's running out on him.
Dotson, 55 pitches in the first 3 innings. Last 3 innings, only 22 pitches. That tells you quite a story.
1-2. So it figures if he's going to get a good defensive play back of him, it would be in the last couple of innings. Deuce is wild on Bensinger. It's 1-0 Red Sox in the 6th. Fastball. Rolled by Bunbury. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error for Boston. On deck, Ellisburg. No runs, 6 hits. No errors for the Yankees, who have left 8. That tells you everything but the frustration. The 8 left on. Sinker fouled away. Still 2-2. Tomorrow, the final game of the series, Rick Rhoden and Roger Clemens. Got him. So Bensinger strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Dotson. It's still 1-0 Boston. Lou Piniella sitting behind Rafael Santana and alongside Chris Chambliss has really had some dilemmas as to what to do with a weak starting pitching staff and a bullpen that has really led him to grief. The Yankee bullpen is above 500, but Righetti alone has blown 10 saves. And of course, last night they really hit bottom when they couldn't hold a 9-5 lead late in the game. And yet he had Steve Shields up early today.
He had him up today. You know, Joe Morgan talks about that, and he says, hey, you change pitchers the same way, whatever the league is. But then again, if you don't have anybody that you can go to and depend on, it makes a difference, obviously.
That's all the way to the screen and rolling into the dugout, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Pagliarulo has struck out and grounded out. Righetti has 23 saves. That would be high, and Lee Smith has 28. Fly ball to center, and Ellis Burks is there. In this day and age especially, it's virtually impossible to go anywhere without a bullpen that is doing well. In other words, Oakland's there, Dennis Eckersley with 40-some-odd saves. The Mets have a tremendous bullpen when they hit you with Roger McDowell and Randy Myers. Lee Smith for the Red Sox. But the Yankees, pitching has apparently been their demise. Strike to Randolph.
Remember Whitey Herzog saying that a good bullpen will make you a great manager, because that'll really erase the mistakes.
No balls, 1 strike. Slow curveball in there for a strike, in the count 0-2.
Been a point in case is the Dodger bullpen. I mean, that to me is one of the big reasons, if not the biggest, why they are where they are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sidearm fouled away. The Dodgers now with the luxury of 2 right-handers. Either one could close with Pena and Howell. Howell basically the closer. And then they even made a deal to get an extra left-hander, Ricky Horton, so that they could alternate with Orozco. The bullpen is so important. Tell you how much this game of ours has changed. I was looking it up the other night. You know, the 1971 Chicago Cubs had 75 complete games. Ferguson Jenkins that year, as you see, strike 3. Ferguson Jenkins alone had 28 complete games in 1971. And here 17 years later, nobody completes a game, or if you do, it's a big deal.
Well, managers tell you go into the 6th inning and I'll see that you won't be charged with the loss, because they go right to that bullpen. The complete game is going the way of dirt. It's
and
obsolete.
Buffaloes.
And Buffaloes.
Here's Don Slaught, fouled out and singled. He hit a fastball into right field for a base hit, but he gets a breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. Romero
really guards the line against Don Slaught, thinking he's going to pull that ball, yet his base hit went to the opposite field.
We'll see if he gets any more fastballs. Yep, there's one, but way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Slaught the other night in a 12-inning game hit a home run to beat Baltimore. Off speed, Half swing, no swing, says Rocky Rowe, and the count 2-1. That 12-inning game with Baltimore, that was the game where Tommy John at 45 went 10 innings. Two and one. Now let's see if Boddicker could get by an inning without a 2-out base hit. Ball 3. He's had 4 innings in a row where he's been able to get the first 2 hitters. Henderson and Washington in the 3rd, Pagliarulo and Randolph in the 4th, Washington and Mattingly in the 5th, Pagliarulo and Randolph in the 6th. And yet 5 of the 6 hits he has allowed have come with the 2 out. Fastball hit. Would you believe that? That's maddening. I mean, if you're Bill Fisher, you got to have a heart-to-heart talk with him.
Well, you keep reminding him, and I would think that where that pitch was really a case of a good pitch being hit, and you could see Boddicker himself slam the ball in his glove as if to say, I don't know what's going on either.
Rafael Santana popped up, but remember, he got a big, slow curveball and doubled inside 3rd down the line. That was back in the 4th inning, but the Yankees still came up empty. It's 1-0 Boston, bottom of the 6th. The Yankees have left 8 men on. They have not been retired in order today. Fastball for a strike.
And Vin, I'm convinced that Boddicker knows about the 2-out base hit because you could just see him as he got set to make that pitch. His shoulders, he took a big deep breath and kind of slumped over as if to say, what is going on?
Yeah, he's got to be saying, I want to make 1 inning where I don't have to pitch out of a stretch. Whoa, good save. That fastball was heading for the backstop. 1-1.
That'd been a good time to decoy and start running back to the screen. Of course, with Slaught on, a catcher. I know what you're thinking.
I know.
Yes, you are.
1-1 to counter Rafael Santana. 1-0 Red Sox, bottom of the 6th inning. Breaking ball, and it seemed to skid over the plate. 1-2.
He throws that pitch, and it looks like it gets right in front of the plate, stops, and then a big breaking curveball.
And it hasn't gotten them a thing. Just missed.
What a great pitch. That pitch works for you. That sets up this one right here.
Coming right on the heels of that little sidearm curveball, and he tried to drill the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Santana hitting .239. Sidearm curveball got him swinging. 4 strikeouts, 8 men, now 9 left on by the Yankees. We'll be right back. It is 1-0 in favor of the Red Sox as the Yankees continue to spend their money. Sitting quietly, resting today, far from the spotlight, 18-game winner Bruce Hurst, who is 13-1 at Fenway Park this year. If you're Joe Morgan, what do you do if you get into the playoffs against Oakland? And it opens up, remember, in Fenway. Do you start Bruce Hurst or do you start Roger Clemens?
Who do you start?
I think I'd start Hurst.
I would too.
Yep. Here's Ellis Burks. Burks has struck out. Tapped a bunt back in the 4th inning. Ball 1. 1 run, 2 hits for the Red Sox. No run, 7 hits for the Yankees. They've left 9 men in 6 innings. So Dotson has pitched extremely well after that wobbly beginning. 2 balls.
Tell you how well the last 3 innings he needed 7, 8, and 11 pitches. It's pretty good.
After the first 2 innings, where he was behind on almost every hitter. And he's behind now 3-0 to Ellis Burks. Remember, we talked about Dotson. You're talking about a fellow in 1983 was a 22-game winner. He was brilliant. And he walked him. A dangerous way to start. It's only the 3rd time in 7 innings that the Red Sox have managed to get the leadoff man on, each time by a walk. And the first leadoff man to walk scored in the 1st inning, Wade Boggs.
And they're setting up a defense, and the bullpen's going to get ready because Burks has stolen 25 bases. He was the guy that was on first last night when Pinella made the switch to bring in Skinner to replace Slaught. Now they're going to be looking bunt, but they could do a lot of things with Reed in that batter's box.
And you saw Steve Shields, the right-hander, and Hippolito Pena, the left-hander, loosening up. Reed has walked and grounded out. Jody 0 for 1. High fly ball. Pagliarulo has no idea where it is, and it's way down the line. That was something. Pagliarulo was dancing underneath the ball that wasn't there.
He had been in on the grass looking for a bunt.
Look.
Yeah. Because he never did see it.
That was something. Look at, he's flicking with the glass. I got it. Got what? It was way down the line. 0-1 to count.
I'll tell you, that high sky is not helping anybody on those pop flies, and he just lost it completely.
0-1 to Jody Reed. Ellis Burks, the runner at first, has stolen 25 bases. So they have to keep an eye on him. 25 out of 34. 0-1 to count. Jody Reed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now look out.
Reed checking. Rack slider at third, looking into Joe Morgan. And Ellis Burks at the ready at first.
Boy, that expression told you nothing.
No. 1-0 Red Sox, 7th inning. Two balls and 1 strike.
Manager's delight.
There are managers now, like football coaches, who are keeping computerized records of their own decisions to make sure they don't have too much of a strong tendency to, for instance, always play hit and run 2-1 or always squeeze 2-1. So they're taking a page out of football now, trying to make sure what they do is not habit forming. And they play bunt. So Reed pushes him up a notch. Burks to second base. 2 balls, 1 strike. That is an extremely cautious play, isn't it?
Well, it's a tribute to what Bodeker's been doing, and he wants to be sure he picks up another run. Morgan does. Stay away from that double play. I'll tell you, that was a good bunt, too.
Reed is a good bunter. He sacrificed 11 times. The reason that you say, boy, that's conservative, is Reed doesn't strike out. I mean, he's had 350, 360 at bats, and he struck out only 20 times, and they're leading. And with the count his way, they still had him bunt. That was something.
But the inning record is the double play. That's what he's staying away from.
And here's Gedman now, grounded out and popped up 0 for 2. Of course, that's another thought. Let me ask you about as far as setting up your inning. Here's the point. You're going to set up the inning to stay out of the double play, and you sacrifice a guy hitting 311 for a fellow who's hitting 220. Isn't that kind of strange thinking?
No, I go along with that bunt all the way, because we're here now in the 7th inning.
And there's going to be the base hit from the 220 hitter. And here comes the run scored as Winfield falls down.
He may be hurt.
He might be. Winfield rolling over. And he's not up.
It looked like his spikes got caught.
You know what? It came to me like that. Mickey Mantle.
The drain.
Yep.
But, I tell you. Just watch it.
There. Oh,
right
wow.
there.
Yeah,
really
hyperextended that left knee.
That ankle just turned, too. See that?
Yeah. Watch, that left knee will extend the other way. Come right there. See it? That's that hyperextension. Yeah. He's in trouble with that. So Gedman a base hit. Burke scores. The Red Sox now have that bigger run to take a bunt away from the Yankees and lead 2-0. And more importantly, now Winfield down. It certainly appeared to be a hyperextension of the left knee.
And the knee and the ankle. I tell you, boy.
He's lucky if he can get up and walk away from that.
Watch that left knee and the right there. Look at the ankle and the knee. Watch it.
Coming up.
Right
now.
The heel kind of gave on him.
It was worse than trying to touch your toes without bending your leg, because that left leg actually extended the other way. There.
He's up.
Look at that thing. Boy, you talk about stretching it. He's got to be in remarkable shape to survive that. The Winfield got away cheaply on that play, believe me. It is 2-0 in favor of Boston here in the 7th inning. And Lou Piniella is out to the mound, and let's see if he brought a hook. You had Steve Shields, Hippolito Pena, and you have Ed Romero, followed by Wade Boggs.
This all started with a base on balls to Burks and the sacrifice, so it was just textbook.
And Gedman didn't hit the ball that hard. It wasn't as if he was really ripped. So the walk, sacrifice, and a looping single to right. And now Romero will be the batter. 2-0 Boston in the 7th. Romero grounded to short and double to left in the 5th inning. He's playing third today because Wade Boggs fouled a ball onto his instep of his right foot. Boggs is able to hit, so he's a designated hitter, and Romero plays defensively.
Well, it's pretty obvious Joe Morgan, he doesn't pay that much attention to statistics. 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, he stays right with the basics.
Breaking ball, ball 1. Interesting, as we mentioned, 3 leadoff men in 7th inning, all 3 reaching on walks, and 2 of the 3 scoring, while the Yankees have been squandering opportunities and have left 9. There goes Gedman, a hit-and-run ball to Dotson, who throws late to second, in time at first. So it's 1-4-3 if you're scoring, and safely aboard at second is Gedman.
Dotson was just sure that he was going to get that double play with that ball hit back to him, and Gedman running on the play, he stays away from it. And where was Romero? Oh,
that's why.
I mean, he wasn't even close at first base.
No. So 2 down. Gedman at second base, and here's Boggs trying to pick him up. It is 2-0 Red Sox in the 7th.
Will he swing at the first pitch this time?
Only if he really loves it. Ball 1. I'm sure he's up there saying, I'm only going to look at something in the sweet spot, something I can drive with 2 out and a chance to pick up an RBI. 1-0. 2-0.
Somebody described Wade Boggs as hitting like the ball's on a tee. He can do exactly what he wants to do. He's had 3 swings out of 15 pitches today.
2-0. 3-0.
Wouldn't you hate to be behind him in a supermarket the way he shops for pitches?
Yeah, you talk about being selective.
Oh, he'd be squeezing the tomatoes, the apples, everything. He is really selective.
Selected company, too.
Put him on.
Yeah, no sense monkeying now. 3-0. So Boggs walks for the 3rd time. 121 walks he's received. In looking at Wade Boggs, it brings to mind those fellows who have won the batting championship in the American League, and those fellows turn out to be Boggs and a brief respite with Mattingly. So the American League is bogged down.
Look at the numbers, too. I mean, they are way up there. You talk about a high rent district. 363.
The last we saw, Tony Gwynn was leading the National League, hitting .315. and today he was hitting .313. Ball one. But you also notice that the leaders were Boggs, a left-hand hitter, and Mattingly. We go back to that note about Kirby Puckett. He could wind up with the highest batting average by a right-hand batter in the American League since Joe DiMaggio back in like 1939. That's what kind of a year Puckett is having, and he's not getting a call. Ball two.
Puckett will be put in the category with Whistler's father.
How many hits?
That's a lot of hits.
He had the other day. He had 216.
And that's a well-kept secret.
Yep. In fact, he now has 221. Kirby Puckett. 221 hits. Oh. Meanwhile, Richard Dotson is back to the way he was in the first inning. He has walked 2, given up a base hit, and he's behind 3-0 to Barrett. And on deck, Dwight Evans.
He loses him, I think he's gone.
Yeah, Shields getting ready in the pen as Dewey loosens up on deck. And he lost him. The bases are loaded, and here comes Piniella, and there goes Richard Dotson. Seven walks allowed by Richard Dotson today. 7. So Piniella will go to the bullpen, and that has become a lot like the Toad's Ride. It has become very interesting. Steve Shields will pick up with the bases loaded. Richard Dotson was a masterful pitcher for 4 innings today. Unfortunately, he got into the 7th inning. Boy, in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, Dotson was as good as you can get. But he had troubles in the first 2 innings and finally wobbly and had to come out in the 7th. Steve Shields without a save and an earned run average of more than 4.5.
Play a game, Vin. He's got to get ahead. When he go fastball or curveball, what'd you guess?
I got to guess fastball.
Yes, sir.
And he started with, I'm not sure, that might have been a breaking ball with too much of a spin on it. 1 ball and no strike.
High curveball.
Shields 2-1 as far as strikeouts to walks. Dwight Evans, extremely tough hitter anyway. You know, he's hitting .545 with the bases loaded and 15 RBIs. Ball 2.
Tell you, we talked about it last week. There's nobody has a better work ethic than this fella. I think if I were a manager, I'd say, hey, watch Evans during infield practice and watch him during batting practice. No nonsense.
One reason why he's still playing every day, and he's coming up 37 years old. Jammed, foul back. Slaught coming back. Can't get there. Gave it his best shot. 2-1. Evans, who was jammed, cracked his bat, and he'll have to go back to the woodpile. So Shields made a pretty good pitch on him, and Evans is fortunate that he's still up.
And while he's getting the bat, you talking about the changes in baseball? There's a change. That cracked bat, they used to just throw it away, give it to a kid. Now they wrap it in cellophane and say, Darrell Evans cracked this bat in the 7th inning of a game against the Yankees, and they sell it for about $20.
I'm sure for a good cause, for charity, for...
No, it goes right into what they call the store now. They have these stores, the baseball teams, that sell this thing.
Well, I swear, Joe.
I'm telling you the truth, partner. That's what they do.
2-1 to count to Dwight Evans. Bases loaded in the 7th inning. 2-0 Red Sox. 2 out.
If they want to do it for charity, I got one for them. It's very simple. They break a bat, give it the bat.
Now Shields really in trouble. 3-1. Gedman at 3rd, Boggs at 2nd, Barrett at 1st. 2 out. A 3-ball, 1-strike count on Evans, and the Red Sox trying to break the game open. Walked him, and it is 3-0 Boston.
8 base on balls the Red Sox have been given. And Piniella is about to maybe make a move just that fast.
Mike Greenwell coming up. He has Hippolito Pena, the left-hander, in the bullpen. So I assume that Pena was throwing to get ready for just this moment. And Pena, as he throws, Lou Piniella throwing some verbal darts at plate umpire Darrell Cousins. He thought that 3-1 pitch was a strike. So in the inning, Burks walked. And with 1 out, Gedman singled him in. With 2 out, Boggs walked. Barrett walked. That was all for Dotson. And now Evans walks. The run is charged to Dotson. You're right. One of the brightest young stars in baseball today, outfielder Mike Greenwell of the Boston Red Sox. He'll be coming up with the bases loaded in the 7th and 2 out, and the Sox leading 3-0. Greenwell has a remarkable set of numbers. In fact, only 2 players in the last 33 years would come close to the numbers that Greenwell has. Since Musial in 1955, the only 2 other players would be George Brett, and in 1976, Joe Morgan had the kind of a year that he has. We'll try and explain that in a minute. First ball swinging, and he hits a fly ball to center to Claudel. So we'll have to get back to that later. 1 pitch, the final out. The Sox get 2 and leave 3. It's 3-0 Boston. 3-0 Red Sox, bottom of the 7th inning. And Ricky Henderson, Claudel Washington, and Don Mattingly against Mike Boddicker. Henderson led off the game with an infield single and died at third, and the Yankees have stranded 9 men in 6 innings and have failed to score. Henderson, an infield single, grounded to short, fly to center. He wants Darrell Cousins to look at the ball. Looking at a area obviously scuffed. And now he said, wait a minute, I don't like the way this ball looks. He's going to go out and talk to Boddicker.
And Ed Gedman's arguing with him. He doesn't like the way that ball looks. Hey, he's got a right. He can eject him if he wants. I didn't do that.
Not me.
It's the way I got it. No way.
The way it came from the factory.
Well, if I get another one scuffed like that, you're gone. Hey, come on.
Marty Barrett comes in, and Cousins points to him as if to say, I'm not talking to you.
And Boddicker says, I ain't got nothing.
So Ricky Henderson, and leading off the inning after Boddicker had taken all his warm-ups, and he said, wait a minute, let me see the ball I'm supposed to hit. And Darrell Cousins found it scuffed. Henderson 1 for 3. It's 3 runs, 3 hits for the Red Sox. No runs, 7 hits for the Yankees. The Yankees have left 9. Bob Stanley and left-hander Tom Bolton throwing in the Red Sox bullpen. Strike. Clyde King examining the ball, and he hands it to Chris Chambliss, the batting coach. Off speed, the spinner missed. 1-1. Red Sox with 1 in the first, 2 in the 7th.
Tell you, it's not the scuffed ball that's got the Yankees. It's those base on balls they gave up.
1-1. Big, slow, roundhouse curveball. 1-2. When we were kids playing here in New York, we'd take a tennis ball and cut it in half, turn it inside out, and scale it, and you could get some of the action that he gets on throwing that. That is really some trick, isn't it?
It is. He starts it right at the hitter, hoping they give up, and they've been giving up.
And that's not a give up. It's a line drive single to center. So Henderson singles, opening up the 7th inning. Hit number 8 for the Yankees, who have not been retired in order, and Joe Morgan has gone out to the mound.
It seemed like Henderson had made up his mind that he was just going to try to send that ball back up the middle. He really didn't swing that hard, and Morgan has made up his mind he's going to make a pitching change.
So Mike Boddicker has them take the ball away. when Henderson was coming up, and now makes a pitch with the new ball, and they take the game away. However, he goes out leading in the 7th inning, and he can't lose, leading by 3 and only 1 base runner his responsibility. Tom Bolton, young left-hander, will go head-to-head with Claudell Washington and Don Mattingly.
And what a contrast it'll be between Bolton and Boddicker, and that lattice work, the shadows from the light standards, will certainly help. As you can see, home plate is now completely in shadows. Lattice work there, and that makes it a bit tough when that pitcher's in the bright sunlight and you have those shadows to contend with.
Washington is grounded to short, grounded to second, and then popped up to Boddicker when he was really handcuffed on a slow curveball. Claudell hitting .316. Ball 1. The paid attendance today, 51,392. And in this extremely frustrating year for the Yankees, the 2nd highest attendance in the club history. The Yankees, with this big crowd today, have gone over the 2.5 million mark. 1-0 to Claudell Washington. And there goes Henderson. Ground ball up the middle. Base hit. So Henderson to third, Washington at first, and the tying run comes to the plate in Don Mattingly.
So that Claudell Washington in his own way has had quite a year for these Yankees. Big stolen bases, big home runs, big base hits. They're set up now. Rickey was going to steal that base. Fastball right down the middle.
So Tom Bolton, who's from Nashville, Tennessee, is up to his hips with more than country music now. First and third, nobody out, and Mattingly at the plate. Don Mattingly has grounded out twice to first and lined a single, so he's kept Benzinger busy all 3 at bats. One ball, no strikes. One reason the Red Sox are in front is that Joe Morgan knows I can bring in my left-hander Bolden, I can come back with Stanley, and I can eventually come with my ace, Lee Smith. Lee Smith, yet to throw a ball in the Red Sox bullpen, has 28 saves. 1-0 to Mattingly. Big curve and a great save by Gedman. That's a wild pitch and a run otherwise. So young Bolden is struggling. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, you could go one more step, Vin. That ball gets by him, you lose your chance for the double play.
That's right. Not only the run scoring, but Washington easily at second base. Nobody out. Two and 0. Fastball lifted back to third. Could be a tough play. A trio of Sox. It's going to fall. Bouncing into the stands for the ground rule double. So now the tying run, Mattingly, is at second base with Washington at third. And nobody out.
Looked like Mattingly was fighting off a tough pitch and hit it right off the end of the bat. And with enough English on it, when it hits, it just bounces right into the stands. Watch it. Fair by a long shot, and it just takes off. No way you can keep that from going into the stands.
So the run is charged to Mike Boddicker. And now with runners at second and third and nobody out in the 7th, the Red Sox holding on to what has turned out to be a very shaky 3-1 lead. And Tom Bolden is going to be lifted. Bob Stanley comes steaming in from the bullpen. Bob Stanley, who has been with the Red Sox since 1977 and has been strictly a relief pitcher really since 1981. He has inherited quite a spot. Second and third, nobody out. 3-1 in favor of Boston. And Dave Winfield, who has walked and singled twice at the plate. Now Winfield wouldn't give you a nickel for either single today. He won some RBIs. Last night his plate was full several times and he left 7 runners. Now he's been given another golden opportunity. And he lifts a fly ball down the right field line, slicing foul into the seats, out of play. 0-1. You know, to be Bob Stanley inheriting this kind of a burden, facing a hitter like Winfield, you really have to have a good sense of humor. Earlier this year, they had an aerial photo of Fenway Park, and they were asking the players to put their signatures according to their position. And he signed his name outside where the Massachusetts Turnpike was, because he said, that's where my home runs go. You wonder how a guy can live diffusing bombs. You better keep it light. Breaking ball grounded to the right side. That gets a run over. That's the first out of the inning. Washington scores. Now the tying run is 90 feet away in Mattingly at third, much to the delight of this large crowd of 51,392. And Jack Clark, the batter. Washington's run is charged to Bolton. Mattingly at third belongs to Bolton.
But the one thing that Stanley's thinking right here is strikeout. That's what's he's gonna have to come up with that, because they're playing back. They're gonna give the run.
Look out behind him, off the glove of Gedman. Here comes the tying run.
Talk about unexpected. I mean, Gedman had no chance. That ball would look like it was way behind Clark. I don't know. I don't think it was a fastball, because it didn't knock Clark down. He's kind of ducked it.
Boy, was that wild.
It's like a sidearm curveball. Nothing. I mean, he went down all right, but it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, like a hard fastball is what I'm saying.
And it was behind him, so it was a dangerous area,
yes,
too.
it was. It was a sidearm pitch. He just missed it by a mile.
So the Yankees have scored 3 in the 7th inning to tie it up. 1-0 to Clark. Breaking ball fouled off. 1-1. It is needless to say a wild pitch. The wildest pitch this side of Barnum and Bailey. It has not been a hitter's day by any means. You realize we have a total of 6 runs. 2 have scored on ground balls, 1 scored on a walk, and 1 scored on a wild pitch.
The base on balls, and that's just what Stanley just did. It's just bad pitching.
2-2. To look ahead when the Sox come up in the 8th inning, Benzinger, Burks, and Reed. So Bodeker's good work for 6 innings plus goes down the drain. He's not involved in this one. And neither is Clark. He's caught looking. Boy, what a day. Second time the Jack has struck out.
Like just a good hard sidearm fastball. And you just watch it go.
And he apparently thinking it's outside. So Clark, all he can do is sit and wait for the next time as he sits next to Mattingly, and checking in is Pagliarulo. 1-1. So you realize if Stanley doesn't uncork that wild pitch,
he's got a chance to get out of it.
But the wild pitch wrecked the inning for him, and it's a 3-3 tie. And that's fouled away. 0-1. Three runs, 10 hits for the Yankees. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Red Sox. That's on the corner for a strike, and the count 1-2. There it is. The Yankees, who had left 9 in 6 innings, finally break through to get even. Breaking ball takes care of Pagliarulo. However, the damage cannot be undone. 3 runs, 3 hits, and we're all even at 3. It was opening day at Fenway Park. Alan Trammell of the Detroit Tigers facing the new member of the Red Sox, Lee Smith, and Trammell won it with a game-winning home run. In Boston, they were bitterly disillusioned, but they didn't have to wait till next year because Lee Smith, with his 28 saves, has become a mainstay of the Boston bullpen and might still figure prominently. You know, it's interesting that Bob Stanley uncorks that wild pitch here in New York. Maybe you remember the World Series when he entered Game 6 in the last of the 10th inning with 2 out and 2 on to face Mookie Wilson. The count went to 2-2, and he threw an inside wild pitch that tied the score. And then Mookie Wilson hit that famous ground ball that went through Buckner's legs for the Mets win. So for Bob Stanley, nightmare revisited in New York. Lou Piniella, after having his left-hander Hippolyto Pena get to the mound, will be called in. So Pena is being lifted. Larry Parrish comes out of the Red Sox dugout, and Piniella will go to the bullpen. That has been such a heartache for him this year. A 3-3 tie in the 8th inning. The Yankees trying to stay afloat, and the Red Sox trying to bury him here in the stadium. Certainly the Yankee pitching has been terrific in allowing the Sox only 3 hits. However, the Yankees have allowed 8 walks. Things were going swimmingly for the Boston Red Sox for a while. The Yankees now have tied it up, and they go to the horse, Dale Mahorsic.
It's been almost like fan appreciation day at the ballpark, where they give away a lot of gifts. Both teams have really gifted each other base on balls. Red Sox got runs, and then that wild pitch turns out to be the big one for the Yankees. We're all tied up here.
Todd Benzinger giving way to Larry Parrish, so Hippolyto Pena giving way to Dale Mahorsic.
Remember in Fenway Park, the way they pitched Parrish was just that breaking ball, keeping it down where a breaking ball should be. Didn't give him a fastball to hit, just kept going for that outside corner.
Parrish has had 2 pinch hit appearances for Boston this year, and he's 2 for 2. Ball 1. Mahorsic is backed up by Neil Allen in the bullpen. Parrish has a half a dozen home runs with the Red Sox. Takes a strike. 1-1. 3-3 in the 8th. Parrish, Burks, Reed.
Try to keep that ball away from him. They don't want him to get that ball inside. He let one get away then. Tell you he did. He really let that one get away. That was a mistake.
Time for the moment. The fan coming out, picking this moment to talk to Don Mattingly. So now he's going to talk to Winfield. As we get on to more important things, you know, one frustrating thing when you think about the Boston Red Sox this year, they have a chance to win 96 games. That's if they win them all between now and the end of the year. Twice they won more than that and lost to the Yankees. In 1977, the Red Sox won 97 games and still finished 2.5 back of the Yankees. In 78, they won 99 and lost in the playoff. And if you want to go way back, in 1949, they lost on the final day, despite the fact they had a brilliant record. The Red Sox of 1949 were even tougher at home than this year's club. They won 61 games out of 77 at home, Ahmed. Ground ball wide to third. Pagliarulo, off balance throw. Got him anyway. Boy, he didn't have much on it because he was off balance, and he hurt himself in twisting to make the throw.
That ball was inside, and he was able to hit it to the left side, and Pagliarulo really roams far to his left. Watch how far over he has to go, but where he hurts himself is because he's got to throw off balance, and Gene Monahan's going to go out there. He is completely off balance. He throws off that front foot, and you can see right there he pulls something behind his right leg, and they're going to check on it. That was quite a play, man.
It sure was. Lou Piniella is coming out of the dugout with Burks and Reed due up. He wants to make sure his third baseman is able to play, and I don't think so.
Well, I was going to say, because you remember Burks tried to bunt. He bunted down the first base side, but with Pagliarulo limping off, had he stayed in the game, I wouldn't have been surprised to see Burks try to beat one out, but he's leaving.
So Mike Pagliarulo makes a brilliant effort to get Larry Parrish, but really had to pay the bill. Pagliarulo, by the way, was not going to come up because he made the last out in the 7th inning. To all you folks who have been watching the Oakland-Milwaukee Brewers game, welcome to Yankee Stadium. I'm Vin Scully along with Joe Garagiola. The Red Sox got a run in the first and 2 in the 7th to lead the Yankees 3-0. The Yankees had left 9 men in 6 innings. But in the 7th inning, the Yankees had 3 consecutive hits to get close. Bob Stanley committed a wild pitch and Mattingly scored, and that tied it all up. Now in the 8th inning of this 3-3 tie, Larry Parrish batted for Todd Benzinger, and Pagliarulo made a good play on him, but he pulled a muscle. Looked like a hamstring on the right leg, and Luis Aguayo will have to take over at third base for Pagliarulo. Oakland defeating Milwaukee 5-2, and in this one very much up in the air. 3-3 in the 8th inning.
Would you test Aguayo?
It's a thought. I don't know what kind of a bunter Burks is. He did try to bunt once, but he pushed it the other way.
Pushed it the other way, but nothing else. I think I would drop my hands up that bat handle and take a strike and just put the thought in Aguayo's mind.
I know one thing. I sure would have tested Pagliarulo.
Oh, yeah.
4-1. The Yankee pitchers today, Richard Dotson, followed by Steve Shields, Hippolito Pena, and now Dale Mahorsic. In there, the Red Sox pitchers, Boddicker, Bolton, and Stanley. Wouldn't bite after that breaking ball. 2-1. Red Sox with 3 hits. They had a single by Barrett in the first inning, a double by Romero in the 5th. And on 1 hit, they scored twice in the 7th. 2-2. One other note for those who have just joined us. Big crowd here. 51,392. Seeing if there is anything left to the Yankee hopes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Half swing. Down he goes. Fastball on the hand.
I think it was a foul tip. You could see that Cousins kind of clipped his hands, which it looked like on the half swing he clipped it. Let's see. At least he gave that sign. Watch the plate umpire as he gives the sign. Yep, there it was. He clipped it.
So Burks is done with 2 out in the 8th inning. Jody Reed, the batter. Reed walked, grounded out, and then sacrificed. 0 for 1. Right. When the Yankees bat in the bottom of the 8th inning, they have Willie Randolph, Don Slaught, and Rafael Santana. One ball, 1 strike. Two and 1 to count. Eighth inning, 2 out, bases empty. Beaten foul, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Final game of the series tomorrow between these two, and it'll be Rick Rhoden and Roger Clemens. The Sox have beaten the Yankees 4 straight, and going head to head have beaten him 8 out of 11. Two and two. Fouled away. I realize it's very hard for Yankee fans to think there is any hope left, but there is, especially the fact that Boston has to play Toronto. You know, Toronto has beaten the Red Sox 8 out of 10, swept 4 in Boston earlier this year. So they are a formidable foe, especially going head to head with Boston. So this a very, very big game. 2 and 2. Ground ball to shortstop, Santana. All right, the 8th inning, the top half in the books at the end of 7 1/2, a 3-3 tie. Larry Parrish, who batted for Todd Benzinger, stays in the game and plays first base. And in the bottom of the 8th inning, Willie Randolph, Don Slaught, and Rafael Santana against Bob Stanley. Ball 1. Randolph today hit by a pitch, grounded out and struck out, 0 for 2. Breaking ball strike, 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. 3-3, bottom of the 8th. Checked as he tried to get out of the way of it. Fielded by Parrish, who's going to do it himself. The old story, anytime you don't have to throw the ball, don't throw it. 1 away. So Randolph just trying to get out of the way of a pitch up and in.
And that ball was really riding into where it tied up Randolph, and much like Claudell Washington earlier, he just couldn't break out of the box.
So here's Don Slaught, foul to third, single to right, and single to center. For those who joined us a little late in this 3-3 tie, the most important thing to note is the lack of an attack for either side. That's popped in the air back a third down the line. Reed and Romero. Reed. And we have 2 down. There have been 6 runs scored today in this 3-3 tie. 2 runs scored on ground balls. 1 scored on a walk. And 1 scored on a wild pitch. So it has been anything but a hitter's day. The starting pitchers, in fact, the game is now in the hands of Mahorsic and Stanley. It means Dotson, Shields, Pena, Boddicker, and Bolton have nothing to do with it. Here's Santana. Popped up, looped to double the left and struck out. A chopper up the middle, going to his right and handling the big hop is Barrett to get him, and the Yankees tiptoe out of the 8th inning. And at the end of 8, a 3-3 tie. We go to the 9th inning. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Red Sox. 3 runs, 10 hits for the Yankees. The Sox scored 1 in the first and 2 in the 7th. The Yankees scored 3 in the bottom of the 7th. Bob Stanley committing a wild pitch to get Mattingly home to tie up the game. Now in the 9th inning, Dale Mahorsic will be pitching to Rich Gedman, Ed Romero, and Wade Boggs. By the way, heartiest congratulations to the Oakland Athletics' Dave Stewart. Dave picked up his 20th win today in beating Milwaukee.
Sure hope that that injury to Bob Ojeda, really, that was so sad to read.
Heartbreaking. And Bobby's suffering the injury to the middle finger of his left hand, and of course that's a vital digit for any kind of a pitcher, especially a finesse pitcher, although the post-operative reports seem to be highly optimistic for next year. I sure pray so.
Yeah, we sure do.
Well, here's Gedman, grounded out, popped up and singled. Ball 1. 3-3 in the 9th. Gedman, Romero, and Boggs. And that's hit to right center. And Winfield not running very well, and that's up against the wall. And Gedman is going to be into second base with a double. And we should explain that. In the 7th inning, Rich Gedman looped a single to right, and Winfield, charging it, suffered a hyperextension of his left knee. Not enough to take him out of the game, but you could see it was obvious that he was unable to run very well, as Kevin Romine will now run for Rich Gedman. See, Winfield very gingerly on that leg.
There really has to be something wrong with him for Winfield to do that, because he's an all-out player.
Well, when we saw the hyperextension, I marveled over the fact that he was able to continue. Here's the play for the benefit of those who are watching the Oakland-Milwaukee game. Watch his left leg, right
there.
There, see it buckle? That hyperextension of that left knee. So he's really biting a bullet out there in right field. And he is due to be the 4th batter when the Yankees come up in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Even on the picture, Vin, you almost think that it's trick photography the way he rolls over like that. But he stayed in the game. There he is.
When the Yankees bat in the bottom of the 9th, they have Ricky Henderson, Claudell Washington, and Don Mattingly. And then if anybody gets on, it will be up to Winfield.
Mattingly's going to talk to Mahorsek, because you got to believe that Romero's going to bunt that ball and make sure they get him over, and Mattingly's going to be charging as hard as he can.
And the question is, what kind of a bunter is Romero? He has sacrificed once this year. He hasn't had that very many at-bats anyway. First thing to do is to give Kevin Romine something to think about. Take a step away from him at second base.
He's got to be careful of the pickoff. Santana's right behind him.
There's the bunt. Oh, he laid that down like he really knew. And it's safe at third because it had to be a tag over there. And it wasn't really close. We have to assume that Mahorsek was following the directions of either Slaught or Mattingly.
You won't know until you ask about that, but with the way he threw that ball, it's almost like he had his mind made up. If I come up with it, I'm going to third base. He didn't hesitate at all.
And here comes Lou Piniella again with first and third. And Wade Boggs coming up. Aguayo down to handle a throw, but Romine was in there easily. It was a very good bunt, by the way. You see where Romero laid that thing
That's right.
down.
He laid it right down. That grass being a bit high, slowed it down. Mahorsek came off the mound thinking he had a play, but it wasn't even close. Tell you,
Piniella making his move.
That little bunt has really worked for Joe Morgan today, and it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter coming out of that bench, and look who it is.
And Lee Guterman will be called in from the Yankee bullpen as Jim Rice begins to loosen up. So the batter due up is Wade Boggs, and they bring in a left-hander. We should also explain why Boggs would be batted for, as Mahorsek sits down and thinks about the frustration of fielding that bunt and going to third.
Then Joe Morgan just called his third base coach over there and is going to have a conference in the dugout right now with him.
So the wheels are spinning here at Yankee Stadium as Lee Guterman, the left-hander, comes in to pitch to Boggs, and Morgan does the unexpected and hits for Boggs. For the Dodgers, this Yankee ball club letting them get away. Looking at the other clubs who are on their way, the Dodgers, Oakland, and the Mets, they have a great deal of confidence in their bullpen, but not the Yankees.
Now you can see him make the change here, but the double play, Rice hits the ground ball. You got the double play, you're still going to get the run, but I don't know. Boggs can put that ball in play. It's one of those things that And strategy is perspective, it's opinion. Joe Morgan has to make the decision, and obviously he's made it. You sit here and you wonder, what would you do right now if you were him? That's the question.
There are two things also, two pebbles to drop in the pond. One is that Wade Boggs was the designated hitter today because he fouled a ball off his right instep and did not have any movement at all. He could run straight ahead. So Morgan was aware that Boggs could very easily hit the ball back to somebody and they could get 2 outs. He plays the percentages with Jim Rice and hopes to avoid the double play. The other question is, and we do not have the sources, but how many times have the Red Sox pinch hit for Wade Boggs? I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest hitters that ever played the game.
And Rice is a double play man. I mean, I don't think that's a factor at all as far as taking Boggs out of there. I really don't.
Against left-handers, Boggs hitting .329. So if you ever want to sit down and have a bucket full of questions, this is the perfect time. Wade Boggs hitting .329 against left-handers, going out for a pinch hitter. Admittedly, he has a sore foot, but the guy coming up to replace him leads the American League in grounding into double play. What a situation.
There's a million things you could think about. You know, you certainly eliminate the squeeze play with Rice up there, and then there you see Wade Boggs. So I'll tell you.
You might also say, well, Jim Rice is a strong man, a fly ball hitter. Okay, Jim Rice has 6 scoring fly balls. Wade Boggs has 7.
And it's late in the game. Boggs has been batting at least. Rice is not. There's all kinds of things you can think about, but hey, you can talk from now until Christmas Eve. What they do, Guterman and Rice, that's what really counts.
And that's what's so great about it. We can all get into this situation because we can all take sides. So Guterman pitching in the 9th inning with runners at first and third, nobody out. And Rice at the plate in a 3-3 tie. 4-1. Yeah, I was just thinking, after all this, and then he hits him or something. And standing at third, Ed Romine, Kevin Romine running for Rich Gedman. Ed Romero moved him over there with the sacrifice. 2-0. And Boggs, oh, I wish I had it at my fingertips because I'm sure you're wondering, when was the last time they pinch hit for him?
Probably on the playground.
2 balls, no strikes. Ground ball smothered at short. No play at the plate. The throw to first for the out, but the run is over. And Rice almost wedged it into left field.
Santana makes a good play, and he really thought he might have a chance for a play at the plate, but Romine, it was a contact play. As soon as that ball was hit, he broke. Look at here. He gets that ball behind him. Watch him look towards the plate, and he sees no chance, and so he goes to first base and gets Jim Rice.
That run is charged to Dale Mahorsic. The best guess, and I'm sure they're trying to go through the pages, Dick Bresciani of Boston said he thinks the last time that they ever had a hitter pinch hitting for Wade Boggs would be in his rookie year of 1982. Maybe. They have to really do some digging to find out. All right, 1 out. It is 4-3 Boston in the 9th inning. Marty Barrett now trying to get Romero home from second. And then after Barrett, Dwight Evans. The Yankees have used Dotson, Shields, Pena, Mahorsic, and Guterman. Fouled away.
Joe Morgan, low-key and all that, but he's made 2 pinch-hitting moves. But he's told the whole world, especially his ball club, I am the manager. He took Jim Rice out and sent somebody up to bunt, and now he takes the world's leading hitter out, not the American League, the world's leading hitter, and pinch hits for him. Who's the boss? That tells you.
The only man in this century 6 times to have over 200 hits, and he wasn't good enough to go up there and hit in that spot, in the eyes of his manager. And there's the hit batter. It's Barrett who gets plunked.
And I'd be willing to bet that if they ask Joe Morgan why, he's going to say, well, it was 6-2 and even. Did he do something? Which is a favorite expression of his, whatever that means.
For Lou Piniella, it is another frustrating moment in the 9th inning, as Guterman, trying to get Barrett, nails him. And now, with 2 on and 1 out, Dwight Evans, the batter. Evans has been kept in check today. 3 ground balls, walked in the 7th inning. When he walked, it was with the bases loaded. He picked up an RBI.
Piniella has made all the moves, but hardly any of them have worked.
Right. So Romero at second, Barrett at first. 1 out in the 9th inning. Red Sox 4, Yankees 3. Chopper to the right side. Randolph will try to tag the runner, and then he does not have a play at first. It was a pretty good heads-up play by Marty Barrett not to run into the tag. He knew what Randolph had in mind.
That's one of the things you wonder what a first base coach does, and most of the times is ask the pitcher if he needs a jacket or tell a guy not to take a lead. That's what you remind the runner of. Don't run into the double play, and Marty Barrett just stops long enough and allows Evans to get the first base and keep that inning alive.
Now runners at first and third. Good play by Barrett. He gets 5s all around in the dugout. Red Sox at the corners, and here is Mike Greenwell. Walked intentionally, struck out, robbed of a hit by Mattingly, and lifts one to right center and deep. Washington going back and takes her in, but the Red Sox take in a run. 1 run. The key was Gedman's double to lead off the inning. 1 hit and 2 left. So the Red Sox, leaving 8 men in 9 innings, lead 4-3. And now to the bottom of the 9th inning with Ricky Henderson, Claudell Washington, and Don Mattingly. And interestingly enough, Lee Smith is trying to save this for Bob Stanley, who wild pitched the tying run over. So go the fortunes of relief pitches. Rick Cerrone is behind the plate, and Kevin Romine is now in left field. So Kevin Romine will fight the sun in left field. And you can put Rick Cerrone behind the plate. So Cerrone would go in Greenwell's spot. Ricky Henderson, single to the hole at short on a check swing. Grounded out, flied out, and singled up the middle in the 7th inning and scored a run. So Henderson 2 for 4.
Darrell Cousins having some problems with that mask, working on it.
Boy, you better have your mask in working order with Lee Smith pitching.
When he throws, chances are you're going to get a lot of foul tips.
Lee Smith's ratio is almost 3-1. 91 strikeouts and 32 walks. Well, the big guy ready. How big? 6'6", 245 pounds. 4-1.
You don't have any idea how big that is when a guy's pitching off a high mound like that.
4 runs, 4 hits for the Red Sox. Trying to get the maximum from the minimum. Breaking ball, and he's behind 2-0. The Yankees 3 runs, 10 hits. Two and 0 to Henderson. He's behind 3-0. So Lee Smith not only in danger of walking somebody, but in danger of turning a rabbit loose here in the bottom of the 9th.
One guy you don't want up there. He can turn a walk into a triple.
In there. Henderson has had 79 walks in his leadoff role and 86 stolen bases. In there again.
Henderson taking all away, trying to get on.
So 3-2 to Ricky. Foul late and foul off to the right upstairs. 51,392, and they have seen a dandy here at Yankee Stadium. On the heels of what figured to be anticlimactic after the Red Sox won that scramble last night 10-9, this one's come back a beauty. Three balls, two strikes. All four, and there's a rabbit on the prowl.
Henderson does what he wants to do, get on, not even close, high and inside, and we'll see a few throws at first base.
Tough man to pitch to anyway, the way he crouches at the plate, and that's the first hitter that Lee Smith looks at. So now you have the tying run at first, nobody out. Washington, Mattingly, and Winfield due up. Romero on the grass. There goes Henderson. The pitch gets away from Cerrone. Henderson doesn't know it. He went in head first. Now he's heading for third. He's there.
He turned that walk into a triple and looked like Cerrone might have been crossed up because when the ball went off his glove, he kind of hesitated before he broke back, and Henderson on a straight steal goes in head first, and Cerrone looked like he might have had a play at third base, but not even a throw. Watch this now. Right there, now he kind of hesitates, and Henderson goes in head first. He wants to get the second. He doesn't realize what's happened. Now he sees it, and he's a little bit undecided, and then he finally says, I'm going. Here's why I thought he'd draw a throw, man.
It'll be a stolen base on a wild pitch. 0-1.
Remember last week we were talking about when you catch a game, who don't you want on the Yankees to get on? That's the guy right there, and there's the very reason. Now, Mattingly and a Winfield can't hit the home run, but you walk them, and that's pretty much where they stay, not with Henderson.
1-1, the count of Claudel Washington. Nobody out, bottom of the ninth, 4-3 Boston. High fly ball, deep to left field. Back goes Romine, away back. It's off the wall. In comes Henderson. Washington to second in a brand new ball game.
Claudel, another big hit. Fastball out over the plate, and he drives it hard to the opposite field. Romine thinks he's going to make a play. Just over his head. He had room, but he had been playing in a little bit.
Three new players have all been burned. Lee Smith, the first batter was Henderson, and he walked him. Rick Cerrone, the new catcher, had to chase a wild pitch. And Kevin Romine, the new left fielder, had to go to the wall and couldn't flag it. So they'll walk Mattingly intentionally. And the guy who almost wrecked his left leg, Dave Winfield, will be coming up with the game on the line. And the hungriest hitter for the Yankees coming up. On deck, Jack Clark. Last night, the hungriest hitter was Dave Winfield. Winfield left 7 men on. Now he's got a bad leg. We know that. Joe Morgan knows it. Everybody in Yankee Stadium knows it. You know it. You saw him hyperextend the left leg. Would you ask Winfield to sacrifice?
I would not know.
The answer is he has not sacrificed all year. And Jack Clark on deck.
I think if you ask him to bunt, you're losing probably 2 hitters, him and Clark.
So 2 on, nobody out. They're trying to bird dog the run of Washington. He's the winning run at second base. Putting the squeeze on him is Marty Barrett and Jody Reed, but especially Barrett.
I'll tell you, man, regardless of how this game goes, it's a real tribute to this Yankee ball club, the way they have battled back and battled back, because they had every reason in the world to say, hey, that's it.
Yeah, last night was one of those, hey, that's it game, but it's still alive here. 1 ball and no strikes to Dave Winfield, trying to win it here in the bottom of the 9th inning against Lee Smith. Fly ball to right center. Claudell Washington's going to tag. Ellis Burks. No, it's Evans to take the ball away from him. The throw to third, not in time. Down to second goes Mattingly. Boy, what a clutch throw by Evans, however. He knew he had the angle, and he made a one-hopper, but someone running as well as Washington was able to beat it, but it was a gutsy throw.
Yes, it was. And look, if Burks makes it, it's not even a play, but watch Evans. He looks to see where Burks is, and Burks wanted to take it, and Evans takes it, and he really uncorks a tremendous throw, but Washington had tagged up the minute that ball was hit. I tell you, that was a good throw.
All right, we were talking about hungry hitters. Clark will remain hungry. They'll take the bat right out of his hands and walk him intentionally. The second intentional walk and the third walk in the inning. Ken Phelps, the left-hand hitter, is out on deck. So Phelps would hit for Pagliarulo in a moment with the bases loaded.
You're seeing the reason that you wouldn't bunt with Winfield because you do exactly that, although, you know, it served the same purpose, but Winfield tried to knock that run in.
And, of course, the only thought you'd even have of the bunt is the fact he's got that bad leg.
That's all.
So the bases are loaded. 1 out in the 9th, a 4-4 tie, and this big crowd beside itself as Ken Phelps comes up.
Then they got to play everybody in. Infielders, outfielders. They got to go to the plate to get that double play.
Phelps, 0 for 1 last night, struck out as a pinch hitter.
Talking about fastball pitcher, fastball hitter.
Ken Phelps, who was obtained by the Yankees from Seattle in the exchange for Jay Buhner and Rick Balabun and a minor league player.
Really playing the pull. Marty Barrett way over, almost next to Parrish. A lot of room up the middle.
So the infield is up. Washington, Mattingly, and Clark on the lines.
Outfield's up. Everybody's up.
1 ball and no strikes. If you're thinking about scoring fly balls, Phelps has 3. 1 as a Yankee.
Tell you, he'll not hit a sacrifice fly because they're so tight. No way they can score.
1 ball and no strikes.
Burks is almost like that roving outfielder in softball. Cerrone going out to talk to Smith. You have to play tight like that.
4 runs, 4 hits for the Red Sox. 4 runs, 11 hits for the Yankees. The Yankees left 9 men in the first 5 innings. Trying to get 1 home with everybody up. 1-0. One ball and 1 strike to count. Phelps was hitting .266. Only in the 220s as a Yankee. 8 of his 22 home runs as a Yankee. 1-1. 2 balls and 1 strike. Phelps, the 6th man to come up. The Sox leading with their ace, Lee Smith, and undaunted, the Yankees scrambled for the tying run, and now they're trying to win it. 4-4, bottom of the 9th, Bases loaded, 1 out, 2 balls and 1 strike. On the corner, Claudell Washington, 90 feet away from a win. That close. Two and 2. Off the rubber.
That's simply a case it just didn't feel right to him, that's all.
High foul off third. Romero watches it go out of play along with Cerrone. Morgan and Piniella sweating it out, but especially Piniella. The Yankees, who appeared to be doomed, down 3-0 going to the bottom of the 7th inning, especially on the heels of last night's 10-9 defeat. But they scrambled to tie, lost the lead again in the 9th inning, tied in the bottom of the 9th, and now it's the Yankees trying to win it. 1 out, 2-2 to Ken Phelps. Got him looking.
Fastball outside part of the plate. He just couldn't pull the trigger. No doubt about this pitch being a strike. It's a long way from that plate, like he's looking for a pitch inside, but I mean, it is right down the center of that plate.
So 2 out, 9th inning, a thoroughly frustrated Ken Phelps. And the batter is Willie Randolph, who is 0 for 3, has not hit a ball hard. Struck out, grounded to short, grounded to first. Was hit by a big, slow Boddicker curveball back in the 2nd inning. A strike. So Big Lee Smith meeting the issue head on. Claudell Washington at third, Don Mattingly at second, Jack Clark at first. 0-1 to Randolph. 1-1. Randolph with 34 runs batted in this year. He was 0 for 3 last night. In his last 7 games, he's really been struggling. In fact, he came into this game 2 for 20. 3 for 24. Well, he now has just 3 hits in his last 27 at-bats. Fastball hit the shortstop. Reed kicks it. The game is over. Appeared to be a ground ball to Jody Reed. He got caught in between hops, and as he sat down, the ball kicked away from him, and the Yankees, with 2 in the 9th inning, are the winners 5-4. Look at this again.
Mattingly, I don't believe screened him. He just got caught in between hops in that right foot game, and that was it.
Well, today's NBC Miller Lite player of the game is Claudell Washington. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Claudell Washington to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. The Yankees beat the Red Sox 5-4. For Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully saying so long from Yankee Stadium in New York.